This is Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate a story on What If Kid Naruto Was an Evil Genius Shinobi, Part 1. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The 12th year. Old with white hair smiled warmly and said, "Hello Naruto. Kun, I see you have finally woken up. My name is Yakushi Kabuto, and despite how young I may look, I am a nurse employed here at the hospital." He had a brown weapons pouch on his left side, blue shinobi sandals around his waist, and a two-piece purple outfit with a sash around it. His eyes seemed to be dark in color, and his hair was pulled back in a ponytail. Naruto remarked in a raspy voice, "I know. I've seen you around before." Uzumaki, who was 7 years old, had already proved that he was in the hospital once more and that his nearly fatal wounds had already healed because of his rapid regeneration. However, this time around, things were different, which is why there was a strong military presence surrounding his room. After all, Naruto had killed a whopping 12 civilians today, the first time he had done so since his birth. Nevertheless, 8 of them were not killed directly. Rather, they were killed by the traps that the fair-haired Uzumaki had placed all over his apartment in honor of his birthday, which coincided with the anniversary of the Kyuubi attack. However, 4 of the kills were direct kills because Naruto had to defend himself while trying to escape his attackers. He had slashed their throats with his kunai before being unexpectedly hit by crossbow shots, as some of the civilians turned out to be expert hunters. He later endured the worst beating he had yet to experience after that ordeal. The civilians were not going to settle for a simple beating this time. They were going to kill him, and to hell with the Hokage and his decree. To make matters worse, he had killed several of them. They believed that Naruto had just demonstrated what they had always known, that this child was evil personified. In the end, the Anbu decided it would be wise to step in before the boy passed away because even the Kyuubi brat was too weak to withstand any more knife and spear stab wounds, not to mention the possibility of being stoned to death. The civilian population had already dispersed and returned to their homes when the Hokage arrived on the scene, or at least that was the plot that was being developed for Naruto. Kabuto said with a kind smile and an even bigger mental smirk, his brain working overtime to try and gauge the young Uzumaki's reaction. "Oh well, that's good, and please don't worry. I know how the other nurses treat you, but I'm not like the others. I don't think you're a demon, and as far as you killing some of the civilians, I'm sure you already know, but according to Konoha law, killing in self-defense is not a crime." Naturally, he had no intention of recruiting the young Uzumaki. From what he could tell, the boy was not particularly gifted, and besides, enlisting a Jinchuriki would only incite Konoha's wrath against him, Otogakure, and his master, and they were still far from prepared to face the might of Konoha. But even if he couldn't officially recruit the young Jinchuriki, he reasoned that it wouldn't hurt to test his mettle. Maybe the young Jinchuriki would destroy Konoha for them, or at least weaken it enough that when the time came for Otto to be big and strong enough to take on another hidden village, they could swoop in and deal the final blow. However, Kabuto was aware that the blonde Jinchuriki was currently entirely controlled by the Sandaime, or at least it was until this point. That was a contentious theory at the moment because Naruto had just slaughtered a number of civilians, and Kabuto needed to act quickly to prevent the Sandaime Hokage from reaching the young Uzumaki and beginning to mend the broken bridge. "It's not?" Naruto asked, his eyes widening with surprise and a nearly relieved expression on his face. "Of course not, it is your constitutional right enacted by Shoden Sama himself. You know, you should take time to visit the civilian library, Naruto. Kun. Ninjutsu is all well and good, but not all battles are fought on the battlefield. Some battles are fought in the court of law or sometimes in the council room. People will exploit and manipulate you easily when you lack knowledge. Ignorance is the biggest weakness a person can have, a special one who not only aspires to become a shinobi, but to become the Hokage. Consider this experience to be a very important lesson, Naruto." "Kun," Kabuto said with an eye smile. With wide eyes, Naruto questioned, "Why? You know about my dream?" "Everybody knows, Naruto. Kun. You've shouted it out loud on the streets so many times I doubt there is a single soul in Konoha who doesn't know." Kabuto said with a small chuckle. "Ehehehe. When you put it like that, I guess I'm powerless to respond," Naruto said, the blonde Uzumaki sheepishly massaging the back of his neck. "Indeed, it is not possible. But I wouldn't advise it going forward," Kabuto remarked solemnly. "What are you trying to say?" Naruto asked, his expression bewildered, not understanding why Kabuto was making such a big deal out of something so trivial. I believe you should be aware by now that the majority of shinobi people despise you in addition to the general public. What if one of the shinobi who hates you is a teacher at the academy? Do you not think they might try to undermine your progress at the academy, particularly if they believed you were aiming for a position where you would eventually become their boss? Have you ever considered the possibility that your position as the academy's dead last student may not be your fault? Think about it even further. What if some civilians are paying academy instructors to sabotage you? After all, if they detest you enough to attempt your murder, what more could they possibly accomplish in their hatred of you? With a horrified yet thoughtful expression, Kabuto spoke. Naruto's expression coincided with Kabuto's at that moment, bringing memories and flashbacks crashing back into his head. All the times he'd realized that his taijutsu stance and katas didn't seem to match the rest of the class, and all the times he'd noticed that his script was different from the person sitting next to him. Kabuto was right. If they could try to kill him, then there was nothing they wouldn't do to put him down. The instructors had claimed that the reason they had taught him the supposedly advanced katas and that everyone's tests were different was because he was unique. Were they really sabotaging him? Were the civilians really paying them to do it? Would they go that far? Yes, they would go that far. If I'm not learning the right way to do things, how am I supposed to graduate? What should I do? Desperately, Naruto inquired. Well, Kabuto said, smirking menacingly as he fixed his glasses pointlessly. Naruto asked nervously, his innocent blue eyes widening as impatience and childlike curiosity overtook the blonde's mind. What? What is it, Kabuto? San? The blonde exclaimed. I would offer to teach you, but I'm nothing but a genin and I don't think someone like you would be interested in medical ninjutsu anyway. Besides, it would be illegal for me to teach you without the Hokage's consent as you are still a civilian and you and I are not clan members. The only way I could help you would be if we kept it a secret, but then again, I'm not sure how good you are at keeping secrets and I don't know if you would want to keep secrets from your Gigi. The blonde Uzumaki begged, I'll do it. I promise, Kabuto. San. I won't tell anyone. I don't know, Naruto. Kun. I mean, you do know that we'll both be in trouble if anyone were to find out, right? And that's not all, I'll be in even more trouble than you, not only because I don't have a close relationship with the Hokage like you do, but also because there is a higher burden of responsibility on me as I am a shinobi and you are, right now, just an academy student. Kabuto replied in a manner that appeared like he wasn't sure what to do. The blonde Uzumaki squeezed his sheets tightly as tears started to sting his eyes, doing well to keep them from falling out. Naruto trailed off with a sorrowful expression. Oh. I guess you really can't help me then. It's okay though, you've already helped me a lot already, and I don't want you to be in trouble because of me. No, really, I think I have a plan that will almost guarantee that we don't get caught, Kabuto said, grinning darkly as he trailed off, amazed at how straightforward and yet brilliant his idea had been. While doing a diagnostic jutsu on the boy earlier, he discovered just how much chakra the boy had, and needless to say, the revelation had blown his mind. For this reason, he was confident that his plan would succeed. With his chakra reserves, he could quickly teach the child the Kage Bunshin technique and help him become proficient in the jutsu. In this manner, he could have the child all to himself for most of the day while having the child's shadow clone ride to school on his horse. He would send his own shadow clone to meet the child if he was unavailable that day. If Naruto hadn't promised Kabuto that he would keep things quiet about their potential student teacher relationship, he would have practically screamed, "What is it, Kabuto? San. Tell me. Tell me, Naruto. Kun, how would you like it if I taught you a new jutsu?" After 5 years. With his trademark smirk and two-finger push of his glasses, Kabuto taunted, "It's not like you to pay me an unexpected visit, Naruto. Kun. Were you perhaps hoping to catch me in the middle of concocting a sinister plot against you?" The medical ninja prodigy didn't bother to turn around and face the blonde Uzumaki, instead continuing with whatever he was doing to the corpse in front of him, likely conducting one of his corpse DNA experiments, which was Kabuto's specialty and favorite aspect of research, something he had obviously passed on to Naruto, who seemed to enjoy playing with corpses almost as much as Kabuto did. Naruto approached his sensei and stood next to him, saying, "You know you're incredibly hard to sneak up on for someone that isn't even a censor type. Nevertheless, it is your master whom I do not trust, not you, and no, I wasn't hoping to catch you doing anything I wouldn't already expect you to be doing. I just came here to get some information about my new Jonin sensei, Hitaki Kakashi. I was hoping you could let me take a look at what you have on your info cards about him." Only this morning, when he woke up to go to the inauguration ceremony for Genin, did he decide to take off his orange jumpsuit. He now had on black ninja pants, black ninja sandals, and a brown weapons pouch on his left thigh. The bandages around his ankles were white. He was dressed as a Hokage Naruto without the Hokage cloak upstairs, with a dark orange sweater with black stripes and an Uzumaki swirl around the back. He had a forehead protector wrapped around his head with a black cloth. The Fujin no Ken, which he carried on his back and used as his main weapon, was actually a gunbai. Naruto's new look had shocked all the new graduates, the teachers, and even the Hokage himself. But what shocked those who saw the most was that he appeared taller than he had the day before and that there appeared to be a lot less baby fat on his facial features than there had been the day before. Everyone's first instinct was to seal their hands in a ram's hand and cry out, "Kai," as their chakra surged, hoping to break through the illusion. But when nothing happened, they were all left dumbfounded. For his part, Naruto did a good job of pretending not to notice everyone looking uncomfortable in front of him, with the blonde Uzumaki content to sit by himself and wait in silence for their sensei to take them away after the teams were announced. Though it wasn't nearly as annoying as he had anticipated, even he had not anticipated having to wait in the same room with Sasuke and Sakura for 4 hours during his sensei's arrival. Apart from the occasional suspicious and inquisitive look, Sasuke generally avoided eye contact and refused to converse with anyone, not that Naruto tried, mind you. Sakura appeared to be torn between glaring menacingly at Naruto and dreamily at Sasuke, but the blonde Uzumaki was unmoved by either of them. When she finally gave up and yelled at him to stop trying to act like Sasuke, Naruto simply replied, "Okay," and continued on about his business. Her reaction startled him enough to keep her silent the rest of their time together. Anyway, tomorrow morning was supposed to be some sort of test, and Naruto was eager to pass it in order to become a shinobi. This was not because he wanted to become a Hokage or serve Konoha, mind you, but rather because he wanted to travel the world and see different places, which he had already been doing, albeit in disguise and with the requirement that he use the Anbu code that Kabuto had given him to pass the security barrier in order to avoid alerting the barrier squad to his departure. But now, relatively speaking of course, he could go on missions and engage with the outside world without restriction. Kabuto stopped what he was doing and looked curiously at the blonde Uzumaki. "So your Jonin sensei is Hitaki Kakashi, huh, just as you predicted?" Kabuto said. "It was very easy to predict in all honesty. He was my father's student and he had a Uchiha teammate and friend, not to mention that Sasuke is the last Uchiha, thereby in need of a Sharingan wielder to show him the ropes. We were always going to be in the same team whether I finished dead last or not." Naruto responded. Naturally, Kabuto was the source of Naruto's knowledge about his parents. The medical ninja had observed some differences, some quite obvious ones, in the narrative that the third had given Naruto about his past, and the more he considered it, the more he came to the conclusion that there had to be more to Naruto's past than first appears. At that point, he made the decision to break into the hospital's sealed records section and conduct some in-depth investigation. By his research, he had discovered that Uzumaki Kushina, the mother of Naruto, had, ironically, also been a Kyuubi Jinchuriki. He also discovered that, in addition to her covert marriage to the Yondaime, she had an aunt who lived in the village and who, again ironically, had also been a Kyuubi Jinchuriki and had been married to the Shodem Hokage. After struggling for days to process what he had learned, Kabuto decided to learn more about the Uzumaki family. Little did he know that this prestigious clan rivaled the Uchiha and the Senju, had its own ninja village, and that its members were experts at sealing and building barriers. From that point on, it was obvious to Kabuto that Naruto would grow into much more than just a side project and distraction for him. Oh no, he was going to be much more than that. Though Kabuto had yet to approach the blonde Uzumaki for assistance, Naruto would be the key to mastering both the Edo Tensei technique and finishing and perfecting the cursed seal that he and Orochimaru Sama were working on. Either way, Kabuto had told the blonde Uzumaki the truth, taking care to present it in a way that would not make the young man popular with the Konoha people or his prized Gigi. Naturally, it was a complete success because Naruto no longer had any faith in or affection for the Sandaime Hokage and showed no love for anyone in Konoha. That is, aside from the Ichirakus. Speaking of which, Kabuto had seriously considered severing that tie brutally, maybe to set up a scenario in which the villagers would murder the Ichirakus so they could harm the fair-haired Uzumaki. Nevertheless, Naruto abandoned that plan since it turned out it wouldn't be necessary after all due to his affinity for corpses and his personality growth, which meant that he was becoming more and more like Kabuto over the time he had been the blonde's mentor. Still, Kabuto had learned that the residence that Uzumaki Kushina and the Yondaime had shared remained intact, with a wall protecting it from intruders. At that point, Kabuto persuaded Naruto that he was the only one who could enter and that he should, since he would discover more about his parents' true nature and might even inherit the jutsu scrolls they had left behind, which, it turned out, were exactly what had been waiting for the fair. Haired Uzumaki. Naturally, on their first day together at the hospital, Kabuto had trained Naruto's shadow clone so that Naruto could send his clone to school and then spend the remainder of the day learning from Kabuto. But when they found out that Naruto could remember everything his clone had learned in school, Kabuto made the decision to actually turn everything around. Rather than enrolling his clone in school, they would send the original Naruto, and one clone would visit the Uzumaki residence to acquire the clan's knowledge of Kenjutsu, Barrier, and Fuinjutsu. But Naruto had rejected the idea, claiming that he, the original, would train in the Uzumaki clan's strength and endurance as well as his father's close quarters fighting program, which focused on speed, reflex, agility, and reaction time. Additionally, he stated that he would divide his clones into groups according to sealing jutsu, barrier jutsu, kenjutsu and taijutsu kata, medical ninjutsu, and elemental ninjutsu. This would eliminate the need for him to assign one clone for every task because he could create so many. For the remainder of his academy years, a single reinforced clone would attend classes daily, and during that time, Naruto had advanced greatly in terms of his ninjutsu, mental, and physical development. It seems like you already know a lot about Hitaki Kakashi Naruto. Kun, I'm not really sure what you need me for. Kabuto responded. Naruto sighed in frustration and said, just give me the damn info card, sensei. Well, it seems that patience isn't your strongest suit, Kabuto shot back, removing the information card, actually, a series of cards. Studying the details on his new sensei, Naruto remarked, 4 cards just for one guy, seems like you've done a thorough job on this guy, as expected of you, Kabuto. Sensei. Kabuto snorted smugly, of course I did. Information is practically useless if it is not collected in its entirety. Under an air of gravity, Kabuto said, speaking of which, there is something of grave importance that I wish to bring to your attention when you're done. He still hasn't left, having already deduced on his own that I work for Orochimaru. Sama anyhow. Kabuto thought anxiously, maybe you won't mind helping out here and there with some of our projects. The day after. Sakura angrily exclaimed, Moi. Naruto no baka. Where the hell have you been? We've been waiting here for 3 hours already. She was so hungry and sleepy right now that she really wanted to smack the blonde Uzumaki to death, but she just didn't have the energy or enthusiasm to do so. Naruto underlined the point, the blonde Uzumaki standing over his 2 exhausted looking teammates as they sat against the tree in the cover of shade. Yeah, I didn't see any reason to arrive early given how late our sensei was yesterday. I did a bit of an investigation yesterday and found out that the guy is always late, not sometimes, not most of the time, but always. Sakura asked with a hurt expression on his face, That can't possibly be true. He's a jonin, how can someone so unprofessional have retained his position, much less get promoted in the first place? Sasuke looked at the blonde incredulously as well, but he refrained from speaking his mind aloud. With a solemn undertone, Naruto concluded, well, it can only mean one thing. Sakura questioned nervously, what? As if it were the most obvious thing in the world, Naruto stated, he must be so skilled, so strong, and or so important that the Hokage is willing to overlook his shortcomings entirely in order to continue to enjoy his services to the village. Sakura and Sasuke's eyes widened in shock as Naruto's words finally registered. Naruto threw 2 scrolls at the pair, one for each of them, saying, in any case, I figured you guys would be starving by now, so I brought you some food. Sakura yelled angrily, Naruto. Weren't you listening when Kakashi-sensei ordered us not to eat anything today? But the sound was entirely overshadowed by the howl of her empty stomach. Naruto said matter of factly, he never ordered that we shouldn't eat, he only recommended it. Besides, if you're going to be doing any extreme or strenuous activity, then all the more reason to eat a balanced meal before activity. Kakashi. Sensei was obviously playing a trick on us for suggesting that we shouldn't eat, especially considering how late he is. Sakura's and Naruto's eyes widened again in surprise, not only at the realization that Naruto was telling the truth, but also at how smart Naruto was turning out. As Sasuke opened the avocado, cheese, and tomato sandwiches from the scroll and asked, when did you learn to use your brain, Dobi? Sakura reluctantly followed in her crush's footsteps, persuading herself that it had to be the right choice if Sasuke was doing it. Not long ago. Naruto honestly replied, setting his teammates' jaws on the floor as they gaped in shock at the blonde Jinchuriki. Neither of them could believe that Naruto had not only chosen not to take a personal offense at the target of his one-sided rivalry, but also had not seemed to take offense at all, almost as if he were acknowledging that in the past he had been unable to use his brain. Naruto warned, "I'd suggest you eat up before our sensei decides to make his presence known." Sasuke quickly grabbed a sandwich and shoved it into his mouth. If only Kakashi hadn't chosen to make his presence known exactly as Naruto had warned, the copy nin would have appeared between the three genins. "Sasuke. I thought I warned you about what would happen if you ate today," Kakashi exclaimed, referring to the final Uchiha with a fair amount of deadly intent. "I don't care. I've decided that your advice is garbage. Besides, you also said to arrive at 5 am and look what time you arrived," Sasuke replied. Kakashi turned to face the blonde, even more killing intent directed at the young Jinchuriki. As I recall, I never said that I would arrive at the same time as you did, therefore, Naruto, you automatically fail the exam for failing to follow your commander's orders," Kakashi exclaimed. Kakashi's only visible eye widened in surprise as Naruto quickly countered, "Negative. I've been here the whole time. Just because you didn't know I was here doesn't mean that I wasn't. On the contrary, you fail as a commander for failing to notice such an important detail." Sasuke and Sakura also saw the wide-eyed look. Kakashi retorted, "Do you have proof that you were here?" Naruto shot back, causing Kakashi's one visible eye to narrow dangerously at the blonde Uzumaki. "Do you have proof that I wasn't?" Kakashi asked. Kakashi authoritatively inquired, "Sakura, did you see or sense Naruto's presence before he appeared before you?" With trepidation, Sakura said, "No sensei." Authoritatively, Kakashi questioned, "Sasuke, did you see Naruto or sense his presence in any other way before he revealed himself to you?" "No." Sasuke growled angrily, wondering if Naruto had actually been there the entire time or if he had only been pretending to be the Cyclops to avoid being disqualified. He also wondered what that implied about Naruto's skills in general and his own lack thereof in particular, if Naruto had actually been there the entire time and he had just been unable to notice him. "So neither Sasuke, Sakura, or I were able to detect any signs of your presence. That's more than enough reason to believe that you were in fact not here," Kakashi countered. Naruto asked in a serious tone, "Sasuke, Sakura, were any of you able to detect Kakashi-sensei's presence before he revealed himself?" The copy nin and his teammates were completely taken aback by the question, as none of them had anticipated it. With a severe tone, Naruto commanded, "Answer the question," waking the two up from their daze. No. The two exclaimed at the same time, and Sasuke noticed a puzzled expression on the Dobi's face as he questioned what in the world it was doing. Naruto gritted his teeth and said, "Nor did I. Being a skilled sensor type shinobi, there was no way he hadn't sensed the copy nin's presence, but they weren't aware of that at the time." Kakashi retorted, "What's your point?" "My point is that it is irrelevant whether you were able to detect my presence or not, because going by your logic, you were not here to begin with if all three of us were not aware of your presence. And if you continue to insist that you were here despite the three of us not detecting your presence, then I will also insist that I was here despite the three of you failing to detect my presence." Naruto made an intelligent argument, once again astonished reasoning. "Then I will prove that I was here by reciting everything that Sakura did since she arrived," replied Kakashi. "Naruto, what will you do now?" Kakashi wondered. With a triumphant smirk, Naruto replied, "And I will prove I was here by reciting everything that Sasuke did since he arrived." Kakashi's lone eye narrowed again at the implications of Naruto's statement, because if he had been here the entire time and Kakashi had missed him, it would indicate that either he had slipped up during these peaceful times or there was more going on with his sensei's son than first appeared. It took Kakashi 15 minutes to recount enough of Sakura's actions since her arrival to persuade everyone that he was present the entire time. Naruto took roughly the same amount of time to prove that Sasuke was present the entire time, but neither he nor Kakashi would acknowledge that their shadow clone had been there the entire time while they, the originals, had been preoccupied with other matters. With a victorious smirk, Naruto said, "And there you have it. See, I was here the whole time." He was tired of being cooped up in the village and was willing to risk losing his cover in order to graduate. However, he was also aware that this revelation would cast doubt on his true skill level. Sakura and Sasuke, The two best students in the graduating class were equally disturbed and incensed by the recent revelations, albeit for quite different reasons, so to say they were furious would be an enormous understatement. Sakura was furious because, in her opinion, Naruto was just a perverted stalker who had watched her spend time with her beloved Sasuke-kun for hours on end. Sasuke was primarily upset with himself because of his own ignorance and naivety, which allowed Kakashi to trick him and outsmart Naruto, who had discovered Kakashi's deception. Additionally, it appeared as though both Kakashi and Naruto had the ability to murder him, and Sasuke was unaware of his death until he encountered his relatives in the afterlife. Given that both of them, Naruto in particular, were capable of such things, how far away from Itachi's level was he, and would he ever even get there? After 10 minutes. It's not only the shinobi thing to do, but it's also the smart thing to do that both of your comrades have done by taking cover. What you are doing, however. Kakashi trailed off, leaving Naruto and his two teammates, who were clearly listening from their hiding places, to finish the sentence. Not only have they bought time to come up with a strategy to take me down, but also so that they can catch me by surprise attacking me. I wonder if reading a pornographic novel as you are about to be attacked with the intention to kill is also the shinobi thing to do. Naruto countered. Kakashi grinned and scratched the back of his head sheepishly, saying, "Mama, don't worry about me, I'll be fine." However, his tone and expression abruptly became somber and serious. Besides, a true shinobi should not be concerned with the well-being of his enemies, but only with the completion of his mission. Kakashi. Sensei, you're going to regret those words quickly. Naruto trailed off, taking on the form of a one-handed ram hand seal. Sexy no jutsu. Nohara Rin. Naruto exclaimed as he changed into an adult version of Kakashi's late teammate, who was an adult in terms of rating as well as age, since she was only decked out in a blue G-string and bra. She also had an amazing bust and far more seductive curves than Kakashi had remembered. She still had the expressive brown eyes and the tattoos on each cheek, but her hair was longer, falling down to just below her buttocks. Naruto would have needed to say some provocative and seductive things while posing and twisting in an equally seductive way in order to complete the jutsu, but he had no idea what Rin's voice sounded like as an adult because he had no idea what it sounded like when she was alive. Consequently, Naruto was forced to accept a provocative pose, blow a kiss at the copy nin, and make a "come here" motion with his right index finger since he was unable to finish the jutsu. In addition to being shocked by what the blonde Uzumaki was doing, Sakura and Sasuke were also perplexed and dumbfounded. Sakura became so certain that Naruto didn't belong anywhere other than a mental institution or a prison cell due to the notoriously delinquent behavior he has displayed throughout his academy years and up until this point. Sasuke, on the other hand, believed that Naruto's prior achievements were merely coincidences since it was impossible for someone to be both so intelligent and so stupid. Regarding Kakashi, well, that was a whole other story. Naturally, the blonde Uzumaki's tactic, if one could call it that, caught him off guard at first. He had, nevertheless, been confused by ideas like how Naruto had learned about Rin in the first place. And at last, fury. An immense amount of anger surged within the copy nin's heart, as the deed he had just witnessed was so offensive that Naruto could have easily crushed his balls and used them to make an omelet. Of all the people, no one was going to get away with dumping on her memory. Naruto. Kakashi trailed off dangerously, shadows circling his only visible eye as the snapping sound of the copy nin closing his favorite pornographic novel echoed throughout the clearing. A terrible killing intent washed over the entire forest, freezing Sakura and Sasuke to the bone. Had the killing intent been directed at him, Sasuke might have even attempted suicide. With a tone of voice he assumed would belong to a girl like Rin based on the information Kabuto had gathered, Naruto said, "Hey, I told you you would regret your words shortly, Kakashi-kun." Of course, he couldn't resist adding a seductive purr to the voice. As Kakashi trailed off, two hands emerged from beneath the earth, each grabbing hold of one of his ankles. "You have crossed the line, and I'm afraid you are too far gone for a light punishment. Allow me to teach you a little about respect for the deceased heroes of Konoha, and to teach you about the true meaning of pi." As Kakashi was being pulled beneath the earth, Naruto's actual voice could be heard saying, "Earth release. Double suicide decapitation technique." The copy nin was too shocked and too naive to mount any kind of resistance or maneuver to either stop himself from being pulled beneath or substitute himself with something else to escape the trap. If that was the worst that could have happened, it wasn't even close to the worst since Arin conjured up a kunai and hurled it toward the copy nin's head with amazing force and speed. As the earth beneath Kakashi shifted and rose up from beneath the earth, the copy ninja pulled out his own kunai and got ready to deflect the oncoming one. Everything was happening at unreadable speeds, at least as far as Sakura and Sasuke were concerned. Earth style. Earth eruption technique. Kakashi exclaimed quickly. As the lone kunai turned into hundreds of kunai flying at the copy ninja, Rin muttered, "Ninja art. Shadow clone kunai technique." With a cross hand sign. To make matters worse, Arin had concealed a second kunai beneath the one she threw, meaning that each kunai that materialized when she employed the shadow clone kunai technique also had a second kunai concealed beneath it. The copy ninja had an extremely difficult time trying to dodge and parry every kunai that came his way. He even managed to have some kunai land flush on his forearms and legs, but he did everything he could to protect his head and torso in order to spare his vital organs. Kuso. I never got the chance to seal an earth wall with my hands or even use the Sharingan. This child is on a whole other level. It's obvious that the academy records were falsified. The only question now is whether Sandaime Sama was involved in this or if he chose to keep his abilities to himself. Kakashi thought wearily. Amazing Kakashi. Kun, you truly have matured in the years since our last meeting. I doubt you would have. Rin faded away as she heard a remarkably loud and powerful explosion that silenced her. It seemed as though Kakashi had either detonated himself or had an explosive planted on him without his knowledge, the latter being a true detonation. To say that Sasuke and Sakura were shocked would be a vast understatement once more. However, their new sensei Hitaki Kakashi was even more shocked and in excruciating pain than before. He was now lying face down in a crater that had formed from his body exploding, and they had no idea how or when an explosive had been placed on him, or even what kind of explosive it was. All he knew was that he was fortunate to be alive, even though he was lying on the ground unable to move any of his limbs and detesting the complete helplessness and vulnerability he was experiencing at the moment. As soon as Rin finished speaking, a 12-year-old wearing a blue outfit and goggles on his head emerged from under the ground. Obito-kun, couldn't you at least have waited for me to finish talking before you blew our sensei up? Rin exclaimed. Obito sheepishly said, just as Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura noticed that the 12-year-old boy had two bells hanging around his own waist. Ehehehe. I'm sorry, Rin-chan, but I didn't want to give him time to discover that I switched the bells with transformed exploding shadow clones when I dragged him underground. Rin responded with a cute pout, HNMPH. I guess you do kind of have a point. Kakashi, on the other hand, was glaring murderously at the blonde Uzumaki's depraved and devious methods, and all he wanted was to torture and destroy the abominations of his teammates that Naruto was putting on display in front of him. The blonde black-haired Uchiha standing a few meters away from Kakashi had his lone visible eye narrowing murderously as Obito mockingly said, "Hehehe. Yeah. Still, can't believe Kakashi was stupid enough not to use the Sharingan he stole from me all those years ago. If he had, he might have seen the chakra in the bells and realized that they weren't the bells that he placed on his waist. What do you take me for, Obito-kun, an amateur? I'm the one who made sure Kakashi's hands were too occupied for him to remove his forehead protector from his eyes, and even if he'd managed it, I made sure he was too occupied to get a chance to look down at his belt line during the battle. You always try to take credit for everything." Once he was certain that Kakashi posed no threat, Sakuke walked out of hiding and yelled, "Dobi! Give me one of the bells." Later, after the Dobi rendered him incapable of speaking, he would question the Dobi, possibly even questioning Kakashi himself, about the Sharingan that Kakashi was alleged to have stolen. He might even take it back by force, but for now, he had to pass the damn test, and to do so, he had to retrieve the stupid bell from the actually incredibly intelligent Dobi. "Okay," replied Obito, tossing one of the bells to the final Uchiha. Sasuke leapt far away from the bell, acting as though it were poison, and glared murderously at the blonde Uzumaki. In that brief moment, Naruto had dispelled Obito, cancelled the Rin transformation, and taken the second bell from Obito. Naruto asked naively, "What's wrong? I thought you wanted one of the bells." Sasuke, beginning to realize just how dangerous Naruto really was, asked irritably, "What the hell do you take me for? A Dobi? How do I know that isn't one of your exploding shadow clones transformed?" He was also beginning to wonder where the Dobi had actually learned such a powerful and dangerous technique, not only able to manifest real clones of himself and even his weapons, but also able to make them explode even. Kuso. This wouldn't be a problem if my Sharingan had woken up. Not only could I mimic his jutsu, but I could also see right through his foolish clone transformations, thought Sasuke angrily. Why would I try to blow you up? The mission was to get one of the bells from Kakashi Sensei, and to attack him with the intent to kill. Nothing was said about attacking you or Sakura. Besides, if I was a murderous psychopath, Kakashi Sensei wouldn't be alive right now. I would have put more chakra in the clones and made an explosion strong enough to wipe him out of existence. Naruto spoke as if discussing the weather forecast was all that was necessary, as if taking down and eliminating an elite Jonin was something any regular genin should have been able to accomplish. His attempt to appease the final Uchiha only served to aggravate him further. Sasuke clenched his fists in frustration and anger, not understanding how the Dobi could possibly possess so much power and skill. It makes sense that the Dobi would give me the other bell if there are only 2 people who can pass the exam. Even the Dobi, who has an absurd fanboy complex over Sakura, knows that I am a far better teammate than her. Sakura is worthless. Even with his doubts, Sasuke continued, maybe he isn't trying to trick me, maybe he is making the logical choice that will benefit him in the short and long run. Naruto's known jealousy and hostility toward him at the academy, as well as his propensity for pranking, added to him. No. This is the real Dobi. That one was obviously a covert identity. All along, he's been concealing his actual strength and identity. Sasuke furiously thought, the seeds of hatred beginning to sprout in his heart once more as he realized how much of a fool the Dobi had been of him all along. He had been under the mistaken impression that the Dobi was the fool and that he was the one who was making even more of a fool of the Dobi each time they clashed at the academy. You seem hesitant. Let me make it easy on you. Here, take this one as well. Give it to Sakura or do whatever it is that you want to do with it. I'm not interested in serving under a captain that would turn his own subordinates against each other for his own amusement, nor one that would discard one of them because they couldn't get a stupid bell. As far as I'm concerned, Kakashi can go eat a dick for all I care. Naruto said as he threw the bell at the final Uchiha, turned on his heel, and walked away. Sasuke was shocked by both Naruto's decision and his reasoning behind it, as well as filled with loathing over the inspiration and admiration that the Dobi sparked within him, though he was very quick and precise in ruthlessly snuffing out any pee. Sasuke said, "Wait, Dobi. Where the hell are you going?" Well, he didn't really ask. After all, he was beneath everyone else as Uchiha and, well, as far as he was concerned, Uchiha only make demands. Nagato remarked, pausing briefly to address his former fake rival, or once upon a time real rival, back to the academy. Maybe I'll be lucky enough to get a decent Jonin sensei next time around. Then he resumed his journey back to that hellhole of a place, which would be an even bigger hell because he would probably have to attend it himself now rather than sending a reinforced shadow clone like he'd done for the previous 5 years. Sakura was enraged at Naruto, and Sasuke was torn. She was furious with Naruto for attempting to outshine her beloved Sasuke. Kunin couldn't believe how cool he was trying to act. She felt that Naruto had no right to take after Sasuke and act so cool. Instead, he ought to have just backed off and let Sasuke take care of Kakashi Sensei. Of course, a few basic facts were beyond her fragile little mind, and to some extent Sasuke's as well. One was that Kakashi hadn't really gone all out, which respectable Jonin would go all out for a student who had just graduated from the academy. Second, if he hadn't been using his Sharingan, he wouldn't have been fighting at his best even if he had done everything he could. The third reason he lost was that he was taken aback by the skill and intelligence of the blonde Uzumaki, primarily due to his false intelligence about the blonde. Sasuke comprehended the reasons for the second and third times. After all, he had heard the clone of Obito from Naruto claim that Kakashi was concealing a Sharingan behind the portion of his forehead protector that covered his left eye, and he had realized that the information he had previously gathered about the blonde Uzumaki was either false or out of date. But because of his pride in being Uchiha and the fact that he didn't think Itachi would have lost to Naruto in the same situation, or any other situation, for that matter, he came to the same conclusion, that their Jonin sensei was inept and weak. The fact that Kakashi has been incredibly tardy and lazy since they first met him didn't help his case either. Sakura, on the other hand, was very easy to read psychologically. She just thought that if Naruto could beat Kakashi, then not only was he weak, but Sasuke would have done it even faster and more stylishly than Naruto did. Dobi! Was Sake's cry once more. Naruto exclaimed, "What now?" as he turned to face the final Uchiha and displayed a slightly irritated expression on his face. Wait for me. After 20 minutes. In the short time since Sasuke's unexpected decision to follow the blonde Uzumaki back to the village, a lot had happened. Sasuke's decision to return to the academy was unexpected because it would have delayed his plans for retaliation by a full year, so Naruto could truly say he was taken aback by it. Naturally, Naruto had chosen to accept Sasuke's invitation to accompany him back to the academy, so he wasn't shocked when Sakura emerged from hiding to accompany them, more accurately, to accompany Sasuke, back to the academy. The look on Sasuke's face made Naruto want to laugh. He could tell, given how much Sakura loved rules, that Sasuke had been hoping she wouldn't be brave enough to make such a rebellious decision, maybe hoping that she would take the bells and become Kakashi's student, relieving him of a terrible burden. The journey of Team 7 wasn't long. Lasting, though, as they were stopped on their way to the academy by a blue-haired cat. Masked female Anbu who was carrying orders from the Hokage. She told Naruto to report to the Hokage right away, and she told Sakura and Sasuke to stay at home and wait for more instructions. Naturally, Sasuke had asked why Naruto was required to report to the Hokage, but he had been quickly silenced and told to just obey orders or face the repercussions. When they all carelessly left an incapacitated Kakashi, Naruto sensed the arrival of two more presences, who then carried him off to the Konoha hospital. The Hokage took his time lighting up his pipe and smoking in front of the blonde Uzumaki, something he had never done before. Naruto was content to just sit there and watch the Hokage with an expressionless expression, as if the Hokage was nothing more than another random villager. He had to wait for 15 minutes to be allowed into the Hokage's office, which was likely a stalling tactic meant to heighten his anxiety levels. Hiruzen had been observing the blonde Uzumaki with a cunning eye for the entire time. In fact, he had been doing so ever since he began to battle Kakashi. He had also been observing the young Jinchuriki when he forced him to wait outside of his office for 15 minutes. Hiruzen intended to make him wait for a long time, but since he didn't seem to be fazed by the wait, he realized that his stalling strategy was ineffective and chose to let him in anyhow. Hiruzen reasoned that a face 2. Face stalling strategy might work, but it obviously didn't, as he was unable to discern any positive or negative from the blonde Uzumaki despite his extensive experience and keen eye. Still, he saw that the fact that he couldn't read anything was a negative reading in and of itself. So Naruto-kun, as you well know, I always watch over the village with the keen eye of my crystal ball, as is my duty as the Hokage. However, imagine my surprise when I happened upon a scene of you and your Jonin-sensei fighting. Hiruzen trailed off, waiting obediently to see how the blonde Uzumaki would respond now that he had established the basis for their impromptu meeting. A barely perceptible hint of frustration appeared as Hiruzen realized that the blonde Uzumaki would not honor his not-so-subtle invitation to speak. "Did you hear what I said, Naruto-kun?" Hiruzen asked in his typical grandfatherly tone, but Naruto already knew what was going on from the look in his eyes and the atmosphere, that this man was a dangerous military dictator who was capable of anything, good or bad. "I did, Hokage-sama," was all Naruto had to say. Hiruzen's eyes narrowed at the blonde Uzumaki, not only because of his curt reply but also because the blonde had addressed him formally rather than in the usual loving way that Naruto usually spoke to him. Hiruzen said in a grandfatherly voice, "Is there something you want to say to me, Naruto-kun? You know you can tell me anything, right?" "Right." Hiruzen sighed in exasperation, revealing a worn-out and vulnerable side of himself to the blonde Uzumaki. Naruto responded simply, displaying neither sarcasm nor seriousness, nor doubt or belief in that statement. With a hurt expression on his face, Hiruzen said, "Why won't you talk to me, Naruto-kun? I thought that our bond was a lot stronger than this. I thought you knew that you could always come to me if you needed anything." Realizing perhaps a different approach was needed to appeal to the blonde Uzumaki's feelings. "I don't even know what you want me to talk about, and by the way you sound like a neglected housewife right now, unbecoming of a person in your position, don't you think?" Naruto asked rhetorically. When he finally acknowledged that this was the complete opposite of the Naruto he knew, Sarutobi's expression changed once more. It was obvious that the person in front of him, whoever he was not the same Naruto he knew, if the Naruto he knew had ever existed at all. With a menacing undertone, Hiruzen said, "Naruto, I don't want to have to do this to you, but I will do what I have to protect the village." When Sarutobi realized the mistake he was making, or thought he was making, it seemed as though he was the one turning the blonde Uzumaki into an enemy by his words and actions today, which of course was not true because he had done that a long time ago already, he just wasn't aware of it. To protect the village? From who? Me. I wasn't aware that I was an enemy to the village. When did this happen, Hokage? Sama? Naruto asked with a lot of spite in his voice. Naruto. Kun, you graduated dead last at the academy, yet you managed to defeat not only an elite Jonin with ease today, but someone who is considered to be a legendary figure in the shinobi world, and rated amongst the best Anbu operatives the village has ever had. As if it wasn't shocking enough that you beat Kakashi in the first place, you also used jutsu that you have never shown before, jutsu that you couldn't possibly know, such as the Shadow Clone Kunai and Explosive Shadow Clone Technique. And finally, there is the matter of fact that just yesterday you were the shortest graduate from your class, and now you are around the same height as one Uchiha Sasuke, possibly taller. Can you blame me for being concerned by these drastic changes, Naruto? Kun? Hiruzen asked innocently. Yes. Naruto answered in a matter of fact manner, catching Sarutobi Hiruzen off guard once more. Hiruzen said, astonished, excuse me. It's not like you're my father or grandfather, or even my clan head. There's no reason why these developments should worry you, or is there something you're not telling me? Naruto posed the question that Sarutobi dreaded, knowing full well that it was a trick question whether Naruto meant it to be or not. He knew he couldn't defend his actions without acknowledging that he was singling out Naruto and that he was doing so because Naruto is Konoha's military weapon. But he had a feeling that there wouldn't be a way back and that he would have lost all control over the blonde Uzumaki if he told Naruto the truth. Not only was losing control of Naruto bad for Konoha, but it was also bad for him. In the end, whether Naruto realized it or not, Hiruzen would have to involve Danzo and use his techniques to control Naruto, which was something he didn't want to do but would have to do if necessary. Of course, he could approach the situation in a different way, but that would require involving Jiraiya and possibly even Tsunade. Jiraiya would comply, but Tsunade was a wildcard who could do more harm than good given her mentality of being Konoha and hiding village at the moment. After seemingly endlessly staring at the blonde-haired Uzumaki, Hiruzen finally asked, are you still angry about what happened 2 nights ago? Listen, I don't have time for this nonsense. So let me put it to you straight. Shadow Clone Technique is not the only jutsu I learned from the scroll. I don't even understand how that should not have been obvious. I learned the Shadow Clone variations as well. As for beating Kakashi, I also failed to see how it can be that surprising considering I defeated an experienced Chunin 2 nights ago with overwhelming ease when he was trying to kill me. It's not like I haven't shown the potential to do what I did today with careful planning. Speaking of careful planning, I'm the guy that stole the Forbidden Scroll in the first place and have outwitted and eluded your Anbu personal on many occasions as a mere academy student. As for my sudden growth spurt, that should also be obvious. If you couldn't figure out by now that my sexy jutsu is actually a shape-shifting technique as opposed to the normal transformation technique, then you should probably consider naming a successor. Naruto said with an intense and yet somehow calm and composed tone and aura, Sarutobi's eyes once again darkening as he stared at the blonde Uzumaki with scrutiny. It was unbelievable to him. Did this imply that the innocent, naive, loving, and childlike Uzumaki Naruto he believed he knew had been a mask the entire time, if the implications of what Naruto was telling him were true? Had the blonde Uzumaki, him, the professor, the god of shinobi, been playing him and manipulating him the entire time? Was the blonde Uzumaki really that good, or had he really slipped that much over the years? How was that even possible? Did the Kyuubi cause this? Was it controlling Naruto? Had he somehow made contact with it? Was it trying to trick him? The questions were just too many, and Hiruzen was certain that, the way things were going at the moment, he would never be able to ask the blonde Uzumaki the answers he needed, and even if he could, he would never be able to trust any of those answers unless he could somehow corroborate them. For now, at least, Mitarashi Anko and Morino Ibiki were off the table. After such an ordeal, he would have to move Naruto from them directly into the root program if he used them. If not, there would be no more love or trust between him and the young Jinchuriki. All he could do would be to send Naruto to the root for conditioning. Naturally, there was still another choice. They could have attempted to question Yamanaka Inoichi. But there was probably an even bigger risk associated with that strategy. When a member of the Yamanaka clan had tried the jutsu on Uzumaki Kushina during the Chunin exams all those years ago, Hiruzen could still clearly recall the effects of the mind transfer technique on a Jinchuriki. Needless to say, the results were not good. If Naruto could get his seal temporarily locked tight, he could try, but he would need to get Jiraiya to do it, and even then, there would be no guarantees because even his student didn't fully understand the mechanics of the seal. Hiruzen wondered sometimes if Minato hadn't purposefully used such a complex seal, especially to keep everyone else from tampering with it. Still, I need to get in touch with Jiraiya and ask him to speak with Naruto. Kun. It appears that my bond with Naruto Kun cannot be repaired. Though he would take comfort in the knowledge that he wouldn't allow Minato's bloodline to die off, as he would wait for Naruto to produce an heir, although the wait was primarily due to the need of his predecessor's wife's bloodline more than Minato's own. Hiruzen thought with a deep pain in his heart at the realization that one day he might have to order the death of someone he once considered to be a surrogate grandson of sorts. Hiruzen asked, "Tell me, Naruto. Kun, how long have you been deceiving me?" While revealing a great deal of his murderous intentions to the blonde Uzumaki, who seemed unfazed at all, as if nothing had changed at all. In an effort to lessen Hiruzen's suspicions of him, Naruto shot back, saying, "Nowhere near as long as you have been deceiving me apparently, unless you actually expect me to believe that half-assed story you told me about why you never told me about the Kyuubi." Hiruzen wanted to continue believing that the events of 2 days ago were the root of their disagreement. What other possible reason could I have had? Hino cleverly sidestepped the question, attempting to get Naruto to share his own opinions with him so he could refute them. He didn't want to be exposed as a liar by answering honestly only to discover that it was a trick or a trap. Naruto shot back, "You tell me." Hiruzen spoke with a sardonic, almost menacing tone that one would expect between two enemies rather than a friendly, carefree grandfather and grandson. "You know I could have you arrested and interrogated if I so pleased?" "Surely, Naruto. Kun, you don't expect me to believe that you also learned the Earth Release, double suicide decapitating technique from the Forbidden Scroll of Seals, do you? Because I can assure you that technique is not in that scroll." Naruto put his hands together and held out his arms, saying, "If you think I am afraid of meager jail time or interrogation for that matter, then you are even more of a fool than I thought. I have no friends and no family, no one that is going to cry or miss me when I am gone. Do your worst, Hokage. Dono." With an air of indifference, Naruto remarked, "You can arrest me any time now." Arresting and questioning him seemed insignificant to him. It would be the biggest understatement in the annals of the shinobi world to say that Hiruzen was stunned. He was aware that the Naruto he believed he knew was erratic, brash, and fearless, but this Naruto elevated those traits to an incomprehensible new plane. Hiruzen realized that Naruto's actions and the blonde Uzumaki's responses were entirely at odds with what he had anticipated. It was evident that the traditional techniques of coercion and fear were ineffective against the youthful Jinchuriki, and Hiruzen was starting to realize this at last. But he is overconfident and seems to think of himself as invincible, and that will be his downfall, thought Hiruzen, his heart growing more and more painful as he realized that Naruto was starting down the same path that his former prized student Orochimaru had taken. This time, though, he wasn't going to make the same mistake he made with Orochimaru, even if it meant killing him. At least, he believed, he had recognized the issue early enough to take action this time. Hiruzen gave the order, concluding that any further questioning without a thorough interrogation was essentially pointless. "What else did you?" "Never mind. You are dismissed, Naruto. Kun, and you are not to go back to the academy. You are to go home and await further instruction. The same instructions have been relayed to your team." It was obvious that Naruto would lie flatly or skirt the subject entirely. He also wouldn't rule out the possibility that the blonde Uzumaki would simply decline to respond to the question. It was time for the shinobi in him to emerge and use the shinobi tactics that revealed Danzo's root program, the Uchiha coup, and Orochimaru's betrayal. Playing games of intimidation and manipulation and adopting the grandfather figure role was no longer a workable strategy. As the blonde Uzumaki sat on the couch reading his favorite manga, the deep, dark voice of the Kyuubi echoed in his mind, "That was really stupid, Ninjin." With no concern in the world, Naruto asked, "You think?" Kyuubi spoke as if he was talking down to a child, which is technically exactly what he was doing. "Your arrogance will be your downfall. You really think that wrinkled old monkey will let this go without a fight? You are not a person to him, you're nothing but a potential weapon for the village, the village's main asset should war break out. He will do whatever it takes to keep hold of you, and if he realizes that he can't, he will kill you. I know all of that. In fact, it is exactly what I am counting on. If I had kept my mask on, I would have risked falling to the same fate as the Uchiha clan. They were eliminated because they did not know that their enemy had already caught on to their schemes and were already making plans to get rid of them. From what I hear from Kabuto, Orochimaru almost fell to the same fate and only got lucky because the Hokage lost his balls when the moment of action came. History shows that this whole putting on a mask thing doesn't work on the Hokage, probably because he has the best mask of them all with that fake grandfather thing of his he does, and therefore knows how to identify and expose one. Naruto trailed off so that the information could sink into his partner by circumstance. It also helps that I won't have to restrict myself on missions as much as I would have had to had I still kept on the mask. Of course I won't reveal everything I can do, but I also won't have to put myself in as much risk as I would have had to had I kept the mask of complete weakness and stupidity. By revealing myself the way I did, I have put myself in a position where I not only know my enemy and his awareness of my existence, but can also control his actions until I am ready to make my move. Additionally, now that he knows that I won't fall for his little games, he will no longer be inclined to call me in for questioning. As a malicious laugh echoed through Naruto's mindscape, the Kyuubi said, "That sounds like a well thought out plan, though I can't help but think that it's all just a big ball of turd that you're using to excuse the fact that you're just plain tired of being the stupid and weak little shit that you've had to be all this time, not that there's that much of a difference between the real you and that stupid mask, mind you." However, as far as Naruto could tell, the laughter could have been harmless since the furball seemed like evil incarnate regardless of the state he was supposed to be in. "Hey. You know you're full of shit. Then. You little, hairless monkey, don't project yourself onto me. Knock, knock, knock. On the way." Sensing the final chakra signature he would have anticipated to appear at his door, Naruto exclaimed as he closed his manga book, a puzzled frown etched on his features. "I wonder what Kurenai Sensei wants? Maybe she wants to talk about what happened at the graduation ceremony." Naruto mused as he unlocked and opened his apartment door, pretending to be surprised to see the red-eyed beauty there despite the fact that he had sensed her chakra. Naturally, he wanted to keep the knowledge of his chakra sensing abilities a secret for as long as possible. "Meimatsu Kurenai Sensei? How come you're here?" Naruto asked with a very convincing act, which was expected given that he had spent the previous 5 years acting and skulking around with Kabuto. "Greetings to you as well, Naruto-san. I appreciate you allowing me into your home so that we can speak politely like two adults." Kurenai met Naruto with an emotionless gaze, giving him a sneak peek at the reason for her renown as Konoha's ice princess. A person who lies, manipulates, cheats, and kills for a living is not civilized in the slightest. "But I'll make an exception for you. Kurenai. Please come in," Naruto said, bowing slightly as he moved to the side to let his goddess like superior in. Kurenai's eyes widened slightly and a tiny, almost invisible shade of red appeared on each cheek. Despite this, she was very quick to regain her bearings as she let herself in. Kurenai entered the apartment and said, "Kurenai Sensei is far more acceptable, let's keep things professional, shall we?" She didn't even turn to look at the blonde Uzumaki as she looked around, surprised at how neat it was, especially for an unruly boy like her current host was supposed to be. There wasn't a single item out of place in the apartment, aside from one single manga. "You're accurate. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come across as so naive. But please, feel free to sit wherever you like," Naruto said hospitably, and Kurenai chose not to take the couch because she thought it would create a more intimate and friendly atmosphere than sitting on the stiff chair in Naruto's kitchen, dining room, which would have been strictly professional. "What is your preference? Sake, juice, or water?" Naruto made a suggestion. "You sip sake?" Kurenai asked, her face showing a mix of shock and embarrassment. She couldn't believe someone so young would already be an alcoholic, but now that she thought about it, it would explain how he mustered the courage to pull off all of the crazy antics and pranks he had committed over the years. "Oh no, not even for a brief moment, I don't like not having control over my cognitive abilities. Though having said that, I have experimented on multiple occasions and found that it doesn't affect me no matter how much I drink, probably because of you know what." Naruto trailed off as he looked straight into Kurenai's eyes, as if searching her soul for an object that was supposed to be hidden inside of it, something that had become a habit of his due to the animosity that he had seen in so many people in the village, even the ones who pretended to be kind to him. However, he saw nothing of the sort in Kurenai's eyes beyond a slight widening of the eyes in surprise, whether at the fact that he couldn't get drunk or the mention of his tenant being another matter entirely. "That's interesting, definitely a boon for a shinobi, though there will be times you might curse your unholy alcohol resistance," Kurenai said eventually. Naruto shot back, "I doubt it. So, which one is it? Juice, sake, or water?" Kurenai cut in quickly, "Nothing. I just came here to invite you to a dinner that I am hosting tonight. I won't be staying long. It's a dinner to honor this year's graduating class and, of course, to strengthen the bonds between the various teams because, in my opinion, we will all need to work together on missions at some point in the future, Kurenai stated stoically. I see. It would be a pleasure to join you for dinner, Kurenai. Sensei, but I'm afraid I won't be able to since, as you can see, I didn't pass the exam that Kakashi Sensei required. Kurenai interrupted once more, no, you didn't. I apologize. Naruto raised an eyebrow in question. Kakashi was hardly conscious when I just got out of the hospital, but Hokage Sama managed to get the decision out of him before he was put under sedation. Naruto, you passed the test. Kakashi was impressed that you three were prepared to forfeit your chance to graduate in order to stay together. To find out how far you would go for your friends, whether you would put them last for your own selfish interests or risk everything for one another, was the entire purpose of the test. Kurenai gave the blonde Uzumaki a fierce look and said, congratulations, you are now officially a genin of Konoha. However, one has to wonder if you really are a genin given that you just apparently easily defeated one of our legendary shinobi. Naruto thought to himself, perhaps I did overdo it a little. Everyone will be on my ass from now on. Naruto tried to justify himself by saying, he let his guard down, and besides, he didn't even use his Sharingan. A shinobi of his caliber shouldn't have needed to be on guard against a genin who had just graduated from the academy, it is true. I witnessed a reenactment of the battle within Hokage Sama's crystal ball. Every Jonin defeated Naruto. San. It goes without saying that you have created quite a stir among the shinobi. Some are referring to you as a genius, while others are just. Kurenai trailed off, suddenly realizing that it might not be a good idea to finish that sentence. Calling the Kyuubi an idiot? Kurenai's lack of response and avoidance of eye contact more than confirmed Naruto's suspicions as he questioned inquisitively. I don't believe you were affected by the beast, despite what they believe. I've always known that you're more complex than you seem, but that was because of. Well, never mind. I'm grateful to Hinata. Dono. Naruto inquired inquisitively, and Kurenai was taken aback by his formal and polite approach to his covert admirer. Why? You? Are you aware of her feelings towards you? Kurenai questioned with a mix of mistrust and rage, akin to a mother hen poised to defend her young against a predator or an elder sister shielding a younger sibling. I know she's interested in me. Though I was curious to learn why not only a Byakugan wielder but also an heiress of the Hyuga main house felt the need to spy on me nearly non-stop, I wasn't entirely sure that she had that kind of feeling for me. Though it makes a lot of sense now, I never thought it would turn out to be so straightforward and easy. Naruto trailed off thoughtfully, aware that the Hyuga heiress was, in fact, still keeping an eye on them from a safe distance that was both within her visual range and within his sensing range. I see. I believed you to be aware of it, and I speculated that this could be the cause of your fervent argument at the graduation ceremony that Kiba should be switched for you so you could be on my team. I assumed you had the same sentiments about her, Kurenai remarked in a tone that was a little dejected. I apologize if this offends you, but I'm not sure how I feel about her, even though I can tell you care a lot for her. I was a little afraid of her because I don't really know her personally and I always assumed she was a Hyuga spy or something. Although it is true that I stated I wanted to learn from you to make up for my genjutsu weakness, I really wanted to join your team in order to get closer to her and find out exactly what was going on. Naruto retorted, it's also true that I don't want to be on the same team as Uchiha Sasuke and that I have scent tracking abilities that rival those of the Inuzuka clan. I see. At least I appreciate your honesty. Apart from Sakura. San, of course, is there anyone else you're interested in? I realize this is none of my business. Kurenai questioned inquiringly. You wish to find out who else is vying for my affections with Hinata? Dono? Naruto raised an eyebrow in question. Kurenai said, embarrassed, it's just AQ. Okay, yes. Naruto casually replied, as if he were just talking about the weather forecast. Well, I think you are the only one she might have to worry about, otherwise there's no one else that has caught my interest. W. What? Kurenai faltered. You shouldn't be startled. You are not only an extremely attractive woman, but you also exude power and the ideal balance of sophistication, sex appeal, and elegance. Additionally, you exude a mysterious aura and appear to be an intimidating and distant figure, which only serves to heighten the allure of you. Hinata. Dono. Well, I don't know much about her, but she's gorgeous, royalty with a strong bloodline, and she'll probably get even more gorgeous with time as she gains self-assurance and becomes more adept at her bloodline. Naruto said, sheepishly scratching the back of his head. She has a good shot too, though to be honest, both of you are out of my league, so I don't even know what I'm thinking saying all of this stuff. Don't you think that's a bit too honest? Kurenai inquired, bewildered and yet oddly charmed by the blonde Uzumaki's admiration for her, and, of course, his direct honesty, since Kurenai was, after all, a direct and honest person herself and so valued those who returned the favor. Are you serious? Well, I guess I wouldn't really know because I don't really have any friends or anything, and my parents never really taught me that kind of thing. However, I feel that you've taught me something significant today, Kurenai. Sensei. Naruto grinned sincere, a small piece of his mask slipping in as the gullible and innocent boy facade fell onto his face naturally, likely as a result of having used and practiced it for so long. Kurenai trailed off, a melancholy expression in her eyes, realizing how lonely and depressing Naruto's life must have been and probably still is. It's a pleasure. However, there are some concerning things. For example, how did you find out that I was referred to as Konoha's Genjutsu mistress? Kurenai questioned, glaring menacingly. No academy student should have had access to that kind of information. With a strange mix of fatigue and excitement, Naruto thought, so this is what she was really after. I wonder if she came of her own accord or if the Hokage sent her. Has the cat and mouse game already begun? With a tone reminiscent of his idiot mask, but lacking much of the idiot part, Naruto declared, I stole a bingo book from a drunk Jonin. This is the red light district after all, and I am the great Uzumaki Naruto Datbeo. Kurenai trailed off suspiciously, I see. Do you not think I'm great? Naruto questioned, grinning mischievously. Is it not possible for an academy student to outsmart a Jonin and steal his belongings without the Jonin realizing it? Indeed. However, you weren't just any academy student, were you? Kurenai told the Hokage nearly exactly what he said when he was updating them on all things pertaining to Uzumaki Naruto recently. You are, after all, the great Uzumaki Naruto who managed to defile the Hokage monument right under the nose of a military dictator and all of his soldiers and guards, stole the forbidden scroll of seals, defeated and killed your evil Chunin instructor, and hospitalized your Jonin sensei without sustaining any injuries to yourself. Well, now that you've said it that way. He. Naruto gave a sheepish chuckle. Well, I'll be heading that way soon. Naruto. San, it was a pleasure to speak with you. I appreciate your hospitality. Kurenai said as she stood up to go, I'm excited to see you tonight. I appreciate you coming to see me. As he led the Konoha Ice Queen to the door, Naruto remarked, I hope there will be many more of those in the future. I'm not sure how much my boyfriend, Jonin Sarutobi Asuma, would take to the idea of me paying visits to another man's apartment on a regular basis, Kurenai remarked as she turned to face the blonde Uzumaki in the same spot where she had looked down at him when he had first opened the door for her, giving off a surreal feeling. Kurenai felt shivers down her spine, but she wasn't sure if those were shivers of fear and disgust or shivers of arousal and attraction. Naruto responded with an almost predatory smile. Surely a powerful and experienced man like him, with such a rich heritage and family background, wouldn't be insecure enough to feel threatened by a no-name wed behind the ear genin. That being said, it would not be proper. I'll see you at the dinner tonight, Kurenai said, turning and leaving before the blonde Uzumaki could respond. She didn't want to avoid him entirely, nor did she dislike his company. Rather, she found that she enjoyed his company far more than she felt comfortable with them being together. Naruto was very direct and honest with her, explaining to her why he felt the way he did. Unlike most other suitors, he wasn't intimidated by her appearance and wasn't just interested in her appearance, as evidenced by his apologies for seeming shallow when he called her a princess. He also wanted her to teach him Genjutsu, which only served to confirm that he recognized her skill as a kunoichi, which was uncommon in the shinobi world, especially among male ninja. Additionally, the burden that he carried, the tormented soul that he was and the way he handled said pain and burdens, and even his playful and trickster-like personality, which was a contrast to hers yet ever more attractive to her as a result, all served to increase Naruto's appeal as a suitor. But more than that, he was less than half her age and the higher authorities now saw him as a flight risk. Moreover, he was Hinata's one true love and her almost sole ambition in life, and Kurenai herself was her best friend and sister figure, and she had made it her own goal to help Hinata snag Naruto one day. If Kurenai dated Naruto, Hinata's self-confidence would suffer irreversible damage, and their bond would be forever shattered. Moreover, Kurenai would be a traitor to both her boyfriend Asuma and Hinata, and there would be the stigma attached to Naruto because of his Jinchuriki status, which would become a shadow over their relationship and even their children if things went that far. Furthermore, Kurenai didn't think this could be anything more than a childish crush that Naruto had on her, maybe because she was already fully grown as a woman, just like the prostitutes, strippers, and skanks that Naruto was probably used to seeing given the location of his apartment, while his academy peers were still, just starting to go through puberty. Nevertheless, if the Hokage extended her mission beyond the quick question that she had just had with the blonde Uzumaki, she would definitely consider teaching him everything there was to know about Genjutsu, and she would find out very soon as she was heading back to report her findings and attempt to give the Hokage as accurate a profile in the little that she'd had with young Jinchuriki. It's you, Nai. Chan. How did the Naruto's profiling go, then? Though Hiruzen didn't mind, he wanted to hear what Sarutobi Asuma had to say regardless, so he asked the question that his father was supposed to ask. Kurenai was picked not just because of Naruto's adamant demands that he be added to her team 2 days prior, nor because he had disclosed his Genjutsu weakness, information he really shouldn't have known about her, mind you, but also because Kurenai was, in reality, a part-time employee of the torture and interrogation unit by trade, which is how she and Anko initially became friends. She was a master of the mind due to her remarkable yet unusual Genjutsu mastery and specialization, and as a result, she possessed extraordinary profiling skills. Due to the relative unknowns surrounding her part-time Anbu employment and profiling expertise, this information was also left out of the bingo book. Everything went smoothly. It appears that someone else is vying for my affections. Kurenai spoke stoically as Asuma, Hiruzen, and Guy's jaws dropped to the ground in shock and Kakashi's mask slipped off just long enough for his jaw to reach his crotch without ripping the mask. Of course, this wasn't the floor because he was sitting on his hospital bed with cushions supporting his back. The meeting was taking place in his room because he wasn't exactly allowed to leave the hospital due to his condition. What? Was that brat up to something naughty? That is not at all like that. He was unaware of Hinata's feelings for him and assumed that she followed him around as a Hyuga spy sent after him. When the subject came up, I took advantage of the chance to ask if Hinata-chan had any competitors for his attentions, and it turns out that she does. Not that it made the situation any less shocking and confusing, Kurenai clarified. If nothing else, the brat is constantly driven and ambitious. He aspires to be the village's most beautiful woman's partner and to hold the highest honor and title. If I believed he had a chance, I would be impressed. With an amused yet unmistakably cocky smirk, Asuma responded. I told him that I am already taken, and he thinks that Hinata and I are beyond his level. However, our investigation is not really focused on his love life, is it? Kurenai shot back. Conversely, all of the information, especially his romantic goals, is pertinent and significant. If Naruto-kun were in a close relationship with a devoted and reliable kunoichi like you, it would improve my quality of sleep. Hiruzen said, rubbing his beard. Hey, watch it, old man. Asuma let out a ferocious cry. I'm not suggesting that Kurenai-san should seduce Naruto-kun, nor am I suggesting she should marry him and produce an heir, she is after all already spoken for. Asuma gritted his teeth angrily at his dad, reminded once more why they didn't, and would never get along with him again. Sarutobi trailed off darkly, sending a clear and loud message to all the Jonin present. If Kurenai and his son weren't in a relationship, he would have ordered it already and he could order it anyway if he so desired. It would however be unwise to make an order without getting all the information. How about we start by letting Kurenai-san impart to us Naruto's profile? Not waiting for confirmation from the Hokage, Kurenai wanted the marriage and seduction talk to go as far away from her as possible. Kakashi suggested, deftly stopping the father-son fight that was about to break out. He was confident that Asuma would not win this fight, verbal or physical. He is a narcissist who exudes self-confidence in his skills. Although his emotional scars leave him vulnerable, he is the kind of person who will take advantage of these weaknesses to control others and achieve his own goals. He is a risk-taker because he has no fear of anything, but he also only takes calculated chances and stays a few steps ahead of adversaries without seeming to. Stated differently, he has long-term plans but employs risky methods, partly due to his adrenaline addiction and partly because he believes he can handle the situation. He is probably cruel and unyielding to his enemies, but he will show mercy if he sees an opportunity to turn adversary into ally or to use said adversary in some way to further his own ambitions. He is a man of great love and compassion, but only for those he deems worthy of it. Taking a deep breath, Kurenai observed her audience's reactions up to that point. She was not surprised to see shock, confusion, and fear in their eyes, as it was likely impossible for any of them to understand that this was a psychological profile of Naruto. In general, he has a personality similar to the trickster from myth. He enjoys playing practical jokes on people, confusing them, manipulating them, and having fun. Although his actions initially appeared to have no purpose other than to stir up trouble and have a good time, practically every action he takes has a hidden agenda. He simply is. He is neither good nor evil, nor cruel nor kind. Nonetheless, he demonstrates a strong sense of loyalty and abhorrence towards betrayal. While his enemies will view him as evil incarnate and a herald of doom, friends and allies will see him as a kind, merciful, loving, and compassionate being. That's the Uzumaki Naruto that I encountered today. Kurenai ended, and the hospital room fell silent, as was to be expected, with everyone lost in thought as they processed his remarks. Hiruzen was the first to emerge from his reverie because he had some inquiries for the Genjutsu mistress. That was a very detailed profile considering that you spent but only a few moments with him. Hiruzen trailed off, asking only questions, trying to figure out just how Kurenai had managed to compile enough data for such an extensive profile. To create an accurate profile, you must use all the information you have about a subject. From what everyone in the village knows about Naruto, from one of my students, from Hyuga Hinata's interactions with him and her innocent but helpful daily spy sessions on him, from the events of 2 days ago, and from the events of today up until I left his apartment, I had information about him that went back to when he was just a little child. I also took into account the details you recently gave us regarding his ancestry. Kurenai patiently explained that he didn't even want to think about what her profile of him would look like, so he wasn't sure if he should be proud of her or tired of her given how good she seemed to be at her job. I see, but speaking of his heritage, do you think that Naruto-kun has become aware of the secrets that have been kept from him? A lot of things about Naruto's recent behavior could be explained if he had learned about it on his own or if someone had informed him about it in a way that would paint the Hokage and the higher-ups in an unsavory light. Hiruzen asked inquisitively, and the other Jonin widened their eyes at the implications of what the Hokage was asking. Unlikely, since he views Hinata and me as far above his own level of femininity. That would be a little bit less self-worth for the son of the 4th Hokage and an Uzumaki princess, who also just defeated a legendary Jonin. It is possible, though, that given his social background and his differing standards for evaluating romantic leads, he is aware of this. Since we are dealing with a socially dysfunctional trickster after all, it is something that is unlikely but should be taken into account. As usual, Kurenai responded succinctly and clearly. I apologize for speaking out of term Hokage-sama, but I have a question I wish to pose to Kurenai. Sensei. With his game face on, Guy asked, a rare expression on the otherwise silly and eccentric Jonin that deserved serious thought and consideration. You may all speak freely, Guy. Kun, we are in this together. Hiruzen responded. What do you want to know? Curiously, Kurenai asked. Do you believe that Mizuki and young Naruto-kun were conspiring to steal the Forbidden Scroll of Seals? Do you believe he has a covert mentor or tutor, and do you believe the Forbidden Scroll taught him more than just the Shadow Clone and its variants? With everyone waiting anxiously to hear Kurenai's thoughts on the matter, Guy asked inquisitively, raising questions that were both surprisingly valid and terrifying to think about. I failed to see how he could have learned more than the Shadow Clone, based on the video footage of that day's events that we watched on the crystal ball. He practiced the technique for 2 hours, and since everything was in one place, we also saw him read the information about it and perhaps some of its variations. To the best of my knowledge, it is extremely unlikely, as he never carried out any additional scroll extensions or made any copies of the content. Kurenai said, taking a breath again before continuing. As for working with Mizuki, Naruto killed him, so we are unable to obtain any more information from him. Nonetheless, Naruto won't say who his mentor or private tutor is, so it's still very possible. It is ludicrous and unbelievable that he claimed to have learned the Earth style, double decapitation by spying on a Jonin on the training grounds. Kurenai gave an explanation. Do you think Danzo could be this private tutor? Kakashi inquired with curiosity. Unlikely. He doesn't resemble any of Danzo's friends or associates. Naruto appears to have allegiances to himself and those near him, while Danzo is an extremist and a Konoha supporter. While Naruto had previously seemed to have an equal obsession with the Hokage seat, he now appears to only do things for himself and those closest to him, or just for fun. Danzo does everything he does for Konoha and his obsession with the seat. Additionally, Naruto exhibits none of the traits of a root agent. Kurenai answered. If he only does things that will benefit him or those closest to him, then do you think that he would become loyal to Konoha if those people closest to him were loyal to Konoha themselves? Curious, Hiruzen asked. Possibly, but it would have to be at least more than 3 people, 1 or 2 might not be enough. Kurenai answered. Perhaps 4 then? Hiruzen asked, staring at the copy ninja. Everyone understood exactly what he meant, since Kakashi was now in charge of a 4-man cell that included the blonde Uzumaki, though there would still be 1 more spot available for the blonde Uzumaki's 4th most valuable member. I'll try my hardest. He detested the fact that I attempted to force Sakura and Sasuke to destroy each other in order for them to advance, and he was ready to give up his bells in order for them to graduate. Perhaps there is still hope. With greater hope than conviction, Kakashi answered, but at that moment, hope was all that any of them could muster. I will send a message to Jiraiya and ask him to return. Maybe he can help somehow, both as a master spy and as a person who was close to his parents, and of course as the 4th close person he would have, though I do expect you and your genin teams to make an effort too, Guy. Kun, Asuma, Kurenai. Chan. Hiruzen fell silent. That shouldn't be a problem, but I also think that Jiraiya should let him sign the Toad contract, that way he wouldn't be able to defect even if he wanted to. Asuma recommended. That's a good idea, but it is up to Jiraiya. I can't force him or the Toads to accept Naruto as a summoner. Hiruzen clarified. So what about the dog contract that Kakashi had? He claimed to have scent perception on par with the Inuzuka, am I correct? Would he not find a dog summon appealing? With a curious gaze, Asuma asked the bedridden Jonin. I am unable to accomplish that. I don't want to come across as favoritism, especially since Naruto has already shown that he is a step above the others. It might seriously damage team dynamics, and I already foresee difficulties in resolving that. Kakashi answered. Kawasaki. Kun is correct. It's already tense enough that Sasuke, Kun and Naruto, Kun are teammates. We don't need to exacerbate things. Just be sure to monitor those 2 closely and try your best to encourage them to open up and form bonds with their peers. I will occasionally give you a call to discuss information and determine whether further safety measures are required. You are all fired until then. After a month. Just over a month had passed since the day he gained a respectable reputation in the village for defeating the copy ninja. However, many people in the village continued to hold the belief that his victory was the result of a freak incident or a fluke, and few were willing to accept that the last foolish prankster alive was capable of pulling off such a feat. This was especially true of his fellow genin, many of whom were still affected by the brutal beatings they had inflicted upon him during their sparring matches at the academy. However, there were unsettling rumors and murmurs circulating among some shinobi force, including the notion that the Kyuubi brat might be working with the demon within of him or, more concerning still, that the beast had already taken control of him. Not much had happened since then aside from that, and Naruto was furious with Kabuto for not letting him know how absurd D-ranked missions were. Naruto wasn't sure he could have stopped himself from strangling the bespectacled medic to death with his bare hands if he hadn't felt such a strong sense of obligation to Kabuto for everything that man had done for him. Speaking of the bespectacled team, Naruto was quite disappointed that Kabuto had not been able to negotiate with the Snake Sanin what he wanted in return for his services in improving the Cursed Seal and the Edo Tensei. The Snake Sanin claimed that just letting Naruto assist him was sufficient compensation because it would grant Naruto access to 2 of his most valuable jutsu. Senju Tobirama's and Senju Hashirama's corpses, or the live bodies of the DNA material used to create the Cursed Seal, were what Naruto had demanded as payment. Admittedly, it was a lot to ask, but Naruto had maintained hope. Senju Hashirama quickly denied his request for Senju Hashirama's corpse, or live body, and the guy he now knew as Jugo. Orochimaru would not part with Senju Hashirama's corpse, nor would he part with Jugo, alive or dead. Nevertheless, Kabuto was able to negotiate a weakened agreement in which Naruto received the corpses of Senju Tobirama and Senju Toka in return for his services, along with a tiny sample of Jugo's DNA, which he would have needed to help improve the Cursed Seal anyhow. The upgrades were progressing rather nicely. He had finished refining the Edo Tensei and was nearly finished with the sealed curse. Though it was difficult to gauge Pale Sanin's attitude because they had not really met in person and had only occasionally communicated through Kabuto and Orochimaru's snakes, Orochimaru was happy with the work done on the Edo Tensei and was impatiently pressuring him to finish the Cursed Seal improvements as well. That being said, it appeared that Orochimaru would still have to wait for the Cursed Seal improvements for some time, as Sasuke had just curtly stated that he would not be performing any more pointless D-ranked missions, effectively telling the Hokage to give him something that wouldn't be another waste of time. Sakura was taken aback by the outburst, though it's difficult to classify it as such because Sasuke's tone sounded as steady as usual with a definite hint of annoyance. Conversely, Naruto felt relieved that it didn't have to be him. He knew that every action he took was being closely watched these days, and even something as trivial as blowing his nose would likely be grounds for questioning him at this point. Naruto laughed and said, though in retrospect, I guess blowing my nose would just cause for suspicion seeing as I've never contracted any sicknesses like the flu in my entire life before. Sasuke. Show some respect for the Hokage. Hiruzen pulled out a brown folder with the letter C on the outside and said, it's quite alright Kakashi-kun. Truthfully speaking, if not today, then certainly within the week I was already considering giving them a higher ranked mission. Naruto. Kun's shadow clone technique, while convenient, has made the issue of a D-ranked mission quite literally pointless. Iruka worriedly said, Hokage. Sama. Are you sure you're not being a little too hasty? Not at all. They are ready for the mission. The D-ranked missions are too easy to fulfill their purpose because of Naruto Kun's ability to clone himself. Perhaps a more difficult mission will be more suited to force them to work together and thereby develop their teamwork. Hiruzen explained. Iruka muttered to himself, I see, but I still don't think that they're ready. Kakashi angrily remarked, it's not your decision to make any more Iruka. They are no longer academy students, they are shinobi of Konohagakure no Sato. Iruka swallowed a lump and pulled back into himself, quickly realizing that he had just a little too easily overreached. At that very moment, Hiruzen called in the next client, who turned out to be an odorous, ungrateful old drunk who openly insulted both Kakashi and his students, as well as Kakashi himself, who the old drunk didn't think looked like much for an elite shinobi. Even so, Kakashi didn't take long to caution him against judging a book by its cover. The elderly man, introducing himself as Tazuna the bridge builder, didn't seem totally persuaded. However, the Hokage asked that Kakashi stay behind for a little while as he and the copy ninja left the hall and made their way to the safety of his office. Kakashi then gave his students instructions to pack for a long-term mission and meet him at the main gate in 45 minutes. He also gave Tazuna the same instructions. Kakashi, unable to bear any more suspense, asked almost immediately after they entered the Hokage's office, what did you want to talk about, Hokage? Sama? Hiruzen asked with his hands clasped together, staring at the copy ninja from across his desk with an intense yet weary expression. It's been a month now, I would like a progress report on all things regarding Sasuke-kun and Naruto-kun too, of course, especially Naruto-kun. The copy ninja let out a heavy sigh as he answered the dreaded question. Nothing new as far as Sasuke is concerned. He still harbors no respect or consideration for Sakura, and in fact attempts to stay as far away from her as possible and to minimize contact with her as much as he can when he has to be around her. Teamwork drills have been going well, but only on a professional level. Naruto has somehow instilled a strictly professional attitude within the team by calling on the reputation of the other two as the Rookie of the Year and Kunoichi of the Year. He did this by pointing out that all the higher-ups, other genin, and even other shinobi of higher ranking will be watching their every move from here on out and therefore anything below the highest standard of professionalism would be a sign of weakness and even a mockery to their status. Kakashi trailed off with another heavy sigh. With a slight frown, Hiruzen questioned, this is bad because? Under normal circumstances it wouldn't be a bad thing, but given who we're dealing with, in particular Sasuke and Naruto, too much professionalism is not necessarily a good thing. It might hinder their already subpar social skills and will create distance between them and their peers. They won't be forming any solid bonds with anyone in the village at this rate. Kakashi explained. I see, I suppose it also doesn't help that Naruto-kun insists on using his shadow clones to complete missions on his own. Still, one would have thought Sasuke-kun would be opposed to allowing the so-called dead last or anyone for that matter to do his work for him. Hiruzen mused out loud. Kakashi said with another heavy sigh, honestly starting to regret ever even entertaining the idea of taking on a genin team. This was just not the kind of shit he needed in his life, though on the flip side, how would he face his friend Obito and his sensei when he joined them in the afterlife if he didn't even try? Naruto is subtly playing on their ego. It was very easy for him to convince them that the Kunoichi of the Year, the Rookie of the Year, and heir to the great Uchiha clan, were above doing missions that equate to nothing but mundane chores that any civilian could complete on their own. Hiruzen questioned angrily, "So in other words, you have allowed Naruto to completely take over your genin team, is that what you're telling me, Kakashi?" "Kun?" Kakashi hung his head in shame at the fierce evaluation from the Hokage. It's not easy to assert your authority on someone who is as well versed on shinobi legislature as Naruto is. I tried to order that they work together as a team to get the D rank missions completed, and I even tried to ban the use of shadow clone technique on such missions, but Naruto had valid arguments against everything, irrefutable arguments actually. Such as, a frustrated Hiruzen inquired, efforts to force shinobi to use teamwork on D rank missions were directly overruled by these two laws, which prohibit the use of certain techniques on missions even by superior officers unless they endanger the life or health of the user or their fellow shinobi. Hiruzen's eyes softened slightly as he realized the enormity of the challenge Kakashi faced. After all, how could he judge Kakashi when one of his students was not only an international criminal but also a traitor to the village, and the other had all but disowned Konoha and, according to shinobi law? With a somber tone, Hiruzen questioned, "Kakashi, what do you think Naruto's agenda is?" "Divide and conquer. He is systematically taking control away from me and molding the team in the way he best sees fit. I don't know what his endgame is, but this is what is happening right now." Kakashi replied, "Perhaps you should have a rematch with him when you return from your mission in Wave Country. Your loss to him may be playing a big factor in the current team dynamics. First impressions are the most important, and yours wasn't a very good one. You need to rectify that." Hiruzen ordered. "I've already tried. He refuses to engage me. He forfeits as soon as the fight begins, and when I order him to fight me seriously, he hides behind hundreds of shadow clones that do the utmost minimum to distract me and keep me busy. It's almost impossible to track down the real one. This one time I destroyed all of his clones only to find that the real one hadn't even pitched for the team meeting that day." Kakashi explained much to both his and Hiruzen's chagrin. So he is deliberately avoiding a rematch? To hide the true level of his own power and skills, or to keep the stigma of your loss to him as a weight hanging around your neck? Hiruzen pondered out loud. Even Kakashi-kun finds this too much to handle. When you need Jiraiya, where the devil is he? Hiruzen furiously pondered. Where the hell was he? He thought he'd made it clear in the message he sent that Jiraiya needed to get back to the village right away because there was a crisis involving his godson. He should have returned here in no more than 6 days, but it had been more than a month since Hiruzen had communicated with him. How come he couldn't return here sooner? What could be so important? Hiruzen closed his eyes and sighed heavily, sensing a headache coming on. Kakashi answered, "I think it is most likely both Hokage. Sama. Minato. Kun, how is your son doing? Is it entirely my fault?" Sadly, Hiruzen thought to himself. Kakashi's eyes widened in shock at how far the Hokage was willing to go to find the truth, but then again, given Naruto's heritage and Jinchuriki status, he couldn't really blame the man. "Don't beat yourself up, Kakashi. Kun. We will get to the bottom of this no matter what it takes. We will reconvene at the completion of this C rank mission. If nothing has changed, then your team will have to start taking B or even A rank missions." Hiruzen spoke authoritatively. Kakashi bowed and said, "Hi, Hokage, Sama." Just as Kakashi was thinking to himself, "I might have to step up Sasuke and Sakura's training if we are going to be getting B in a ranked missions, especially Sakura," a question seemed to ask itself out of the blue. "Hokage. Sama? Have there been any developments between Kurenai-san and Naruto?" Kakashi inquired, recalling that Kurenai, thanks to her amazing profiling abilities, had a much better chance of gathering information about Naruto than he did, not to mention that Naruto appeared to have a crush on her and desired to learn genjutsu from her. "No, there haven't. Kurenai-chan has refused Naruto-kun's request to be tutored by her in genjutsu. She believes that now is a crucial time for her to get to build foundations and form a bond with her genin team, and that taking on an apprentice outside of her team would disrupt the relationship that she is trying to build with her genin team, especially if the apprentice is another member of their graduation class. There is also the fact that Naruto already told everyone that he is a better fit for Kurenai's team than Kiba-kun. If Kiba-kun were to find out that Kurenai was giving private lessons to Naruto-kun." Hiruzen trailed off, leaving Kakashi to put two and two together on his own. If Hiruzen had to be completely honest with himself, he was kind of relieved that Kurenai had declined to teach Naruto genjutsu. Naruto was very confident in his other skills, especially the ones that Kakashi was good at, like ninjutsu and taijutsu. Hiruzen learned from his desperation to be on Kurenai's team and his request to be tutored in the art of genjutsu by her. If Hiruzen's weakness was genjutsu, he didn't want Naruto to eliminate it, at least not until he could determine whether Naruto was a friend or foe. As of right now, he didn't know for sure. The best case scenario for Naruto was that he was a devoted and secretive guy. The worst case scenario was that he was Danzo's successor. And the in-between scenario was that he was Orochimaru's successor. Keeping an eye out for the best case scenario, Hiruzen was also bracing herself for the worst case. Frequently, he would question where he had gone wrong, whence Naruto began withholding information from him, or even whether the Naruto he believed to be familiar had ever existed at all. In the event that the latter proved to be accurate and that Naruto never existed in the first place, Hiruzen would have to concede that he had failed miserably and that maybe Danzo had been correct all along when he'd called him an old fool full of senility. Kakashi asked, though he already knew the answer deep down, "I see, and I suppose Asuma wouldn't be too pleased about her dating Naruto, even if just for a little while." Hiruzen sighed heavily and said, "That goes without saying, unfortunately. If Tsunade, Orochimaru, or Jiraiya hadn't been so full of shit, he shouldn't even be sitting here at this age. Honestly, he was getting a little too old for this shit." Although Kakashi was aware that they could not have predicted the problems they were currently facing or that Kurenai would have been so important in finding a solution, he nevertheless stated, perhaps it would have been better if Naruto had been assigned to Kurenai's team after all. After a week, Wave Island. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura. There's no hope for me now, and there's no way you three will be able to defeat him. Take Tazuna-san with you and run, now. His water clone should dispel if he allows it to get too far away from the main body, and his main body cannot move without canceling this water prison. Kakashi yelled frantically, his students, well, two of them at least appearing extremely scared at the moment, but one of them, our favorite blonde Uzumaki, appeared composed and thoughtful, clearly undecided about what to do but also looked unfrightened. Although you three aren't even true ninjas, by the time I was your age, I had already taken hundreds of lives. Your sensei is right, you should run with your tails between your legs. You three don't even seem to be out of your diapers yet, laughed Zabuza, making Sakura and Sasuke, two of Kakashi's students, widen their eyes in shock at what they were hearing. By the time he reached my age, he had already taken hundreds of lives? He's exactly like him, that's. Sasuke thought with realization, a realization that was driven home in his mind while Kakashi told the tale of the demon of the mist's beginnings. Kuso. Not even one life have I taken yet. What have I been up to for the past few hours? With a clench of his hands, Sasuke expressed his frustration and anger. Zabuza is accurate. I'm not a superhuman. All this time, I've been doing is playing ninja. At my age, Itachi was already in the Anbu, and Zabuza had already taken hundreds of ninjas out. How did I get here? As he dove into the deepest recesses of his heart and mind, Sasuke thought. Naruto confidently declared, "Hey Zabuza-san? How much is your corpse worth to Kirigakure no Sato? I mean, obviously you're not going to live past this day if you're going to try and fight the great Uzumaki Naruto, strongest and smartest ninja in the elemental nations." Zabuza raised his non-existent eyebrows at the ninja in front of him who was obviously mentally challenged. I would have preferred to flee, let Kakashi die, and then use a shadow clone to switch roles and pursue Zabuza and his accomplice on my own. Naruto thought, but what if Kakashi makes it through the ordeal and tells the Hokage about what I did? This could just as easily be a trap that he is setting for me. Otherwise, he would have tried to use Reikari already to escape the water prison, because lightning is, after all, strong against water. Hey? You're either very brave or very stupid, Kozo. Either way, I give you credit for not shaking like a leaf in the face of death like your two teammates over there. Zabuza chided. However, water also complements lightning, so if Kakashi tries to use lightning release while submerged, he will almost definitely injure himself using his own method. Though Naruto reasoned that he still needed to be in Konoha until Orochimaru's planned invasion, Zabuza, who has a lot of information about Kakashi in his personal bingo book, is probably also aware of Kakashi's ability to use lightning release. As a result, Zabuza is counting on the complementary elements of lightning and water to dissuade Kakashi from trying to break out of his prison via that method. Don't be stupid, Naruto. You've been acting like the team leader since this team was formed. Make the right call for your team. Get everyone out of here and protect them with everything that you have. Kakashi yelled with rage. Nonsense! Exclaimed Sasuke this time, and Kakashi's eyes widened in shock at the Uchiha's response, especially since the said Uchiha had just recently gotten so wet that he nearly killed himself. With shock, Sakura stammered, Sasuke. Kun. It doesn't matter if we run or not. He'll just track us down and finish us off when he's done with you. The only way we will survive is if we can get you out of that stupid prison. Sasuke said with a stern tone. Nice thinking, Sasuke. I had thought you were an overhyped moron for a long time now, didn't know you actually had a brain somewhere in that big head of yours. Naruto chided. HN. You're one to talk, Dobi. Sasuke shot back. Sakura was left dumbfounded by the scene playing out in front of her, wondering how in the world these two were not wetting their pants given how hopeless the situation was. Naruto asked inquisitively, hoping that he wouldn't have to carry out his plan because that would require disclosing yet another of his secrets. Sasuke, on the other hand, gave the blonde Uzumaki a dirty look when he asked, HN, okay, so what's your plan? With a deep frown, Sasuke shot back, I assumed you had a plan considering how much of a big game you were talking. Does that mean that you don't have a plan then? Dobi. Sasuke exclaimed angrily, forcing himself to stop himself from strangling his annoying blonde idiot of a teammate. With a no nonsense tone and expression, Naruto gave the order, okay then, step back, all three of you. Don't be stupid, Naruto no baka. You can't order Sasuke Kun like that, and what makes you think that you can beat that monster on your own? Even Kakashi Sensei couldn't. Naruto cut in quickly, the same Kakashi Sensei I hospitalized the day after our graduation? Zabuza's eye narrowed dangerously at those words, unable to pick up on even the tiniest hint of a lie from the blonde haired Uzumaki, and honestly feeling as though he was dealing with a real killer rather than the idiot he had been dealing with earlier. Sakura stumbled, Everyone knows that was just a fluke. That girl is also not acting fake. Zabuza prepared himself for anything and thought, it's entirely possible that they're just trying to throw me off my game, but it doesn't feel like it, my instincts are telling me otherwise. Fine, just know that you will both die if you get in the way, and it won't be my fault since I warned you both to step back already. Naruto. This is not the time for your stupid. Stop talking and follow his instructions, Sakura. Exclaimed Sasuke angrily, as the young Uchiha grabbed Tazuna's hand and pulled him away from the blonde Uzumaki to a safer distance. Sakura was taken aback by her crush's actions, unable to comprehend why he was following Naruto. Baka's instructions and why he wasn't handling the situation himself, but also too afraid of what he would do, say, or think of her if she spoke up or disobeyed his orders, reluctantly backing up until she and her crush formed a defensive formation around the bridge builder. With his right hand on the ground and his thumb bit, Naruto thought, he's going to be pissed off at me for this, but I don't have much of a choice. Kachiyose no Jutsu. Naruto muttered as a sizable cloud of smoke emerged. The smoke quickly cleared, shocking everyone by revealing what looked to be a monstrous insect with human features. It's been a long time, Miriam. Dono. Naruto greeted Miriam. Dono in a serious manner, knowing full well that his summon, the king of the Chimera Ants, didn't appreciate anything but the utmost seriousness and would punish others violently for behavior that was contrary. However, he wouldn't dare attempt such a thing to someone who was not only his summoner but also the creator of the Chimera Ant clan, which was the result of the initial experiments that culminated in Naruto's Chimera no Jutsu, a jutsu that Naruto was currently using to recruit members for his covert organization, simply referred to as the Bloodline. Miriam and his fellow Chimera Ants are descended from a unique species of ant found in Swindler's Forest, a forest in Demon Country. Naruto had chosen the ants in that area as the subject of his experiments because they are larger than normal ants, reaching a maximum size comparable to a large dog. They also have hard exoskeletons, super strength. They can lift more than 10 times their own weight, and exceptional speed and agility. In order to see what would happen if he could create the ultimate summoner animal partner, Naruto had wanted to use his chimera technique to give the ants the strongest characteristics of other species. When he realized that he could actually give them the traits of other species, he had wondered if it was possible to give them some human traits. After all, He had concluded that it would be beneficial to both him and the summons if they too possessed human intelligence and speech, and he had interacted with some of Orochimaru's snakes that had delivered messages to Kabuto and more recently to him. For this reason, Naruto had begun fusing human DNA into his test subjects in an attempt to create the ultimate summoning species, which had been a huge success to say the least. King Miriam served as a poster child for Naruto's achievements. In any case, Naruto's ability to refine the Chimera no Jutsu and use it to fuse the corpses of bloodline users with his allies to grant himself and his allies powerful limits was made possible by his success with the Chimera species. Naruto's siblings and bloodline members were reaping the benefits of their hard work, which was more than he could ask for at the moment as he too was reaping the fruits of his labor, albeit indirectly. However, Naruto himself was not directly benefiting from his hard work as the Kyuubi and the Kyuubi's seal itself was an obstacle he had yet to find his way around in order to use the Chimera no Jutsu on himself. Yes, it has, Naruto. Sama, Meruem answered in a cool, collected manner, projecting a noble, self-assured air that was evident in his tone and manner. The man is rather short and resembles a hybrid of a human, a scorpion, and an ant, especially with that big tail that juts out of his lower back like a stinger. He has 2 antennae on his ears, a large shell-shaped armor covering his head that resembles a helmet, and he is extremely toned and muscular. He is barefoot and has only 4 fingers and toes on both hands and feet. He also has dark pigmentation on his arms, legs, chest, and head. With the self-assurance expected of a king, Miriam declared, "I see you have not called on me for a simple chat this time around. Does this mean that you have a worthy opponent for me? Nothing less is acceptable." When Miriam's head snapped in her direction, Sasuke and Izuna both swallowed hard gulps down their throats despite not being the focus of Meruem's piercing gaze. What the hell is that tea? Sakura stammered, her words dying in her throat. Call me a thing again and I will have your tongue for lunch. You will only refer to me as Meruem. Sama, or your majesty, nothing less. Do we understand each other, human trash? Meruem asked rhetorically, and Sakura was so terrified that she was unsure if she would be able to move a finger in the event that the demon king that Naruto had just summoned decided to attack her. What in the world is that object? How did Naruto come by a summoning contract at all? This is awful. None of us could have predicted how bad things would get. If I survive this ordeal, I'll have to report this to Hokage Sama as soon as possible, Kakashi thought weary. Suddenly, Naruto said, "Ahem, anyway, your opponent is known as the Demon of the Mist." This effectively distracted Meruem from his pink-haired teammate. The Demon of the... Meruem trailed off as Zabuza's water clone attempted to ambush him covertly. He made sure to emphasize the word, tried, as he quickly and without even looking back attacked the clone, slicing it to pieces with a speed that was unperceived by the untrained shinobi. That happened so quickly. Kakashi was alarmed to see his water clone being destroyed so easily. The real Zabuza's eyes were narrowing with fatigue. Meruem said in a patronizing manner, "This is your so-called demon? How disappointing. That was just a water clone, it possesses only a tenth of the original's true power." Naruto countered. With finality, Meruem said, "Like I said, how disappointing." Zabuza's eyes narrowed even more at Meruem's statement. His pride hurt that this thing still considered him an unworthy opponent even after learning that the water clone had only a tenth of his power. Zabuza shot back, "Big words, for a measly little insect." Turning to face the Demon of the Mist, Meruem shot back, "The only human worthy of my attention is Naruto Sama. Otherwise humans are nothing but trash before the might of the Chimera Ant King. Know your place, human scum. HN. I never, in my wildest dreams, imagined I would live to see the day that an ant talks down to a human." Zabuza replied. Meruem asked, though it sounded more like a demand than a request, "Naruto Sama, tell me a little more about this foolishly arrogant human." He is a member of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, each of them wielding specially designed swords that have special abilities, and trained in the art of silent killing. He is supposed to be the best in the art of silent killing, and as you can see, he also has a large repertoire of water elemental ninjutsu. He has an A-class ranking in the bingo book and defected from Kiri after a failed assassination attempt on the Mizukage. Naruto explained clearly and concisely. He's only an A rank ninja? I thought I told you to summon me only to fight the strongest of them all. Why did you summon me to fight someone who doesn't have an S class ranking? Meruem asked irritably. The bingo book entry was made a couple of years back, so I figured that he might have become stronger since then, especially considering the ease with which he took care of Konoha's legendary Kakashi of the Sharingan. However, if you feel he is not worthy of your efforts, then you need only free Kakashi Sensei from his prison, and then we can let him fight the demon. Consider the entertainment of watching their battle as compensation for wasting your time. Naruto replied diplomatically. Well, I guess that will do, Meruem said, trailing off as he spat out a mud bullet from his mouth. The bullet traveled so quickly that by the time Zabuza realized what was happening, he had already crashed into the water's surface on his back, a full 30 meters away from where he had started. He attempted to stand up right away and assume a battle stance, but he eventually doubled over in agony as he felt the crushing effects the mud bullet had left his liver. He was lucky that the bullet did not pierce through his skin, but the impact's blunt force was more than enough to cause him pain. Meruem turned to the copy ninja and said, "There. Don't expect me to help you if you get captured again, human trash." Kakashi glared at the king and the blonde Uzumaki, who raised an eyebrow in response to the copy ninja's response to being saved because he felt that a thank you was the least that he and Meruem deserved. As he turned to chase after Zabuza, Kakashi remarked, "You and I will have a word later. Kuso. It's a powerful thing. If I have to take out Hitaki Kakashi first, I doubt I'll be able to defeat it by myself. If I have any chance of defeating that, Haku might have to get involved. In any case, where in the world did the brat get that thing?" Zabuza thought as he eventually stood up, just in time to see a furious Hitaki Kakashi show up to take him on for round 2. After 20 minutes. As a masked man who didn't appear to be much older than he and his group arrived at the battle scene, Sake exclaimed, "Who the hell are you?" Kakashi. Sensei had gone to great lengths to gain an advantage over the man, who had just killed Zabuza with a few strategically placed senbon. "I am a hunter ninja from Kirigakure's Undertaker unit. I've been tracking this guy for a long time and I finally caught up to him, thanks in part to your mentor." The masked teen replied robotically. "How old are you?" Sasuke demanded, his tone and body language displaying frustration and anger. As if Naruto's apparent superiority over him wasn't bad enough, Sasuke wasn't sure how he would handle it if it turned out that this guy was also in his age group. The masked teen robotically replied, a deep frown carving itself onto Sasuke's facial features as he clenched his hands in frustration. "About a year or so older than you, though I'm not supposed to give out any information about myself, I'm sure you understand. What have I been up to this entire time? Even though he is only 1 year older than me, Naruto is clearly stronger than me. At the age of 10, he was stronger than me, and now, at the age of 10, he is an elite ninja in his village. How am I supposed to strengthen myself? At this rate, how am I ever going to get strong enough to kill Itachi? Is my weakness really that great?" Sasuke furiously considered. "In any case, I will take this corpse with me and dispose of it, thank you for your help, Hitaki Kakashi." "San. Wait just a moment, why don't you dispose of the body here, right in front of us? Isn't that standard protocol for you hunter ninja, to dispose of the body at the place of death, as quickly as possible?" Meruem inquired with a suspicious gaze. Meruem. Dono is right, something is off. I see now, he must be the person who uses the hide and bloodline limit, as I first thought when I sensed his presence. Naruto thought to himself, I must be losing my touch. After all, he did arrive at the same time as Zabuza. I should have realized he was lying about being a hunter nin. Kill them both, Meruem. Dono, he's not a hunter ninja, he's Zabuza's partner. Was the hasty order that Naruto gave. Meruem, much to his and everyone's surprise, dashed towards the masked hunter ninja, intending to maim and kill. However, instead of crashing into the mirror, Meruem seemed to get sucked into it, disappearing completely into it, and then appearing a few meters away, flying out of another mirror that had appeared out of thin air and skidding to a stop some distance away. Swiftly, the masked adolescent created another ice mirror, wherein he and Zabuza vanished. Kakashi tried to pursue them into the mirror, but to his astonishment, he collided with it and collapsed onto his back. In order for him to choose who is teleported and who is not. What a fascinating man. When I present his body to Estese, he will make the ideal gift, Naruto thought, grinning slightly. One of the people Naruto had enlisted for the bloodline was Estese, but she was stranded in snow country and could not escape since all of her ninjutsu moves needed the sub-zero temperatures to be used. Estese lacked the hide and bloodline limit, which prevented her from using her ice-style ninjutsu in the absence of snow country, unlike Zabuza's accomplice. She was, of course, staying in Snow Country for the time being for the sole purpose of protecting Koyuki. Until Naruto gave her the order to eliminate Dodo and his goons and allow Koyuki to reclaim her rightful position as the princess, daimyo of Snow Country. Koyuki wanted to use her father's device to turn Snow Country into Spring Country, which is why Naruto had delayed giving the order. However, Esdese had only agreed to protect Koyuki and not to assist her further because doing so would prevent her from using hidden techniques. Naruto, however, would be able to convince Esdese to carry out their plans and participate in missions outside of Snow Country after they had Haku's corpse. That insolent ninja! How dare he embarrass me like this? Naruto. Sama, summon Pito and Chitu. I want to use their abilities to corner this cowardly human trash and make him fight me head-on. Meruem ordered impatiently. Naruto quickly realized why Meruem specifically needed those two's assistance. Pito possesses a remarkable sense range, making it valuable for locating teleporters such as the masked ice user. Meanwhile, Chitu's power would allow him to carry Meruem and the masked hidden user to a different dimension where he typically takes his opponents to compel them to play tag. In this scenario, however, the goal would be to stop the hidden user from teleporting away, compelling him to confront Meruem. Dono. Naruto bit his thumb again, the previous bite having long since healed. Okay, but make sure you keep his corpse intact, both of their corpses actually. I also want Zabuza's sword delivered to me. Naruto commanded. Thinking that the masked ice user might also be skilled at cloaking chakra barriers, Naruto decided to summon Flutter as well. That way, he could use his dragonflies to track them down. With his hands clenched, Naruto exclaimed, Kachiyose no Jutsu. As three new figures emerged from the smoke. One of the figures is extremely tall and slender, dressed only in shorts, with purple hair and cheetah fur and stripes covering his whole body. It should come as no surprise that his face and the lower portions of his legs also have cheetah features. The other figure, the one that flew, resembled a humanoid dragonfly and appeared to be dressed in an antiquated gown. That is, attire one would typically associate with an elderly woman. Lastly, the third figure had the most humanoid appearance of all. In fact, anyone could have mistaken her for a human if it weren't for her long tail, exoskeleton. Like knees and cat. Like ears atop her head. Her teeth were razor sharp, but then so was Zabuza's, so that characteristic didn't take away from her human appearance. She demonstrated her peculiar sense of style by donning black shoes, an orange knee length short, and a blue blazer. Naruto. Sama. The previously mentioned Chimera Ant cried out with a "oath" of excitement as she threw the blonde Uzumaki to the ground. Arriving from the blonde Uzumaki as he was suddenly brought down, the humanoid cat creature, which Naruto's peers now recognized as a female Chimera Ant based on her bust and voice pitch, wrapped her powerful tail around the blonde Jinchuriki's arms to restrain him before, for want of a better word, licking the shit out of his face and planting her tongue in his mouth to begin a very messy but intense kiss with her summoner. Everyone believed for a while that she would strip him naked and ride the brains out of him there and then, but the kiss lasted for at least 40 seconds as she felt the blonde up all over his body. Even Kakashi was turned on by what was happening in front of his eyes, wiping the blood from his nose and considering whether or not to write to Jiraiya Sama to ask that he create a bestiality volume for the ICHA series. On the one hand, Sasuke found himself torn between many minds. He was both envious of Naruto and disgusted by the idea of a human and an animal, even if they were very attractive looking animals, being together in that way. He had never even made it to first base and had no idea what it was like to be with a woman. However, his body appeared to respond contrary to his thoughts, forcing him to conceal his erection by putting his hands inside his pockets. Sakura was not faring much better, fighting the urge to stomp Naruto to death for being so perverted in front of her, especially at this particular moment, and her hormones. Even so, she knew deep down that she wouldn't have cared if Sasuke and her did something similar. Of course, she would have preferred to do it in a more private setting, but if this was her only chance to seduce the love of her life, she wouldn't let it pass her by. Naruto. Sama, I missed you so much. I wish you'd summon me more often. The seductive cat growled at the blonde Uzumaki, smothering and dry humping her. With a disgusted tone, Meruem asked, "What are you doing, Pito?" Pito exclaimed, "Naya," and leapt as far away from the blonde Uzumaki as she could, sounding almost like Naruto had just electrocuted her. Pito stammered, her eyes wide. Why? Your Majesty. W. What or why? You doing H? Here? With a somber undertone, Meruem said, that's my line. Is that any way to behave during a mission? Remind me to punish you when our business here is done. I beg of you to forgive her, Meruem. Dono. It is my fault for allowing her to behave in such a manner. I will personally see to it that the situation is rectified. You won't have to worry about such behavior neither in a public setting or on a mission. Naruto apologized eloquently. I forgive her, but she will receive her punishment nevertheless when we return. My brethren need to understand that no exceptions will be made. Meruem responded. Okay, I understand. Naruto apologized to Pito, who returned the look with a genuine smile. Pito was happy not only because Naruto Sama had fought for her but also because the king had, in all likelihood, given her permission to continue pursuing Naruto Sama as a mate. After all, according to his own words, the only reason he was upset was because she had, in essence, sexually assaulted him during a mission. Huh. Young love. Chitu chuckled, making Pitu's cheeks flush. This was one of the few occasions the white-haired cat would bemoan the fact that her skin tone was too similar to that of a human to effectively conceal her feelings. With a deep, manly voice, Flutter said, ahem. As much as I would like to join you in making Pito Sama as uncomfortable as possible, I believe that now is not the time, Chitu. I believe Meruem Sama would not have had us summoned unless there was something important he had to say to us. This made Sasuke, Sakura, Tazuna, and Kakashi scratch their heads metaphorically, wondering why the hell that thing was wearing a dress if it was, in fact, a guy. Flutter, it appears that you are the only capable member of my brethren. Don't worry, though. I'll make things right as soon as we get back to our house. For now, I want you all to accompany me. I'll explain everything along the way. Make sure you keep up. Meruem gave the order and vanished in a flash. The others scrambled to keep up with the king, not even bothering to inquire as to why Naruto had summoned Flutter, since he had figured it out almost immediately. Luckily, Flutter had the advantage of being able to fly over Pito and Chitu when traveling long distances. That happened far too quickly. That was the speed of a celestial gate, or at least the fifth gate. Kakashi's eyes widened as she thought. His Majesty Meruem Dono will handle the threat. We should move toward Tazuna San's place and set up a parameter in case Sabuza has other accomplices or Gato has hired another assassin. Both scenarios are unlikely, but we should exercise caution nonetheless, suggested Naruto. Kakashi shot him one of the many suspicious looks the blonde Uzumaki had been receiving since joining the Copy Ninjas team. Kakashi asked himself a lot of questions about the blonde Uzumaki, not the least of which was why the blonde Uzumaki spoke like a shinobi veteran rather than the wet behind-the-ear genin he was supposed to be. But even with all of his doubts and inquiries, Kakashi knew that Naruto was dead right and that this was not the moment to question the blonde Jinchuriki. As much as he hated to admit it, Naruto was their only chance of surviving if there was another attack soon. But even with Danzo and his root army gone, Naruto was currently the least reliable Konoha shinobi that Copy Ninja knew. He barely had enough chakra as it was to defend himself should another attack become imminent. Kakashi trailed off as he lost consciousness, the merest effort of taking a single step forward proving too much for the physically and mentally exhausted Copy Ninja, and more importantly, chakra-exhausted Copy Ninja, as he fell face first on the ground. Good idea, Sakura, Sasuke, Naruto. Form a triangle defensive formation around Tazuna San as we head on wards Kakashi. Sense. Sakura exclaimed in a panic, her face wearing a look of shock and terror. Sasuke tried not to show how alarmed he was by his sensei's abrupt demise, but it was evident that he was. With his chakra sensing ability enabling him to predict this kind of outcome, the blonde Uzumaki wondered how long he was going to be able to maintain that facade as he created two shadow clones to carry the Copy Ninja. Sasuke's left eyebrow twitched slightly at being ordered around by the Dobi, but he managed to restrain himself due to the gravity of the situation, being honest enough with himself to realize that he was currently out of his depth, though that didn't make him feel any less insulted and agitated. Naruto ordered authoritatively, "Don't worry, he won't die. He is just suffering from severe chakra exhaustion, but not severe enough to cause death, I think. Focus on protecting Tazuna San, my shadow clones and I will handle the rest." Next morning, Tazuna's residence. Saying that Naruto felt happy this morning would be the biggest understatement ever. He was in such a good mood that he had even risen early to assist Tsunami in getting ready for breakfast. His good mood was nearly dashed by the lack of food and money in the household as a result of Gato's tyranny, but it was soon lifted when Naruto asked her to list any ingredients she would need to prepare a large meal for them and then conjured those ingredients from a seal on his left wrist. In addition, he had called forth an abundance of additional ingredients for later use and assisted Tsunami San in restocking the refrigerator and shelves. At first, she had rejected his kindness, but Naruto had persisted, which was beneficial because it eventually affected her positively. His happiness stemmed from King Meruem's victory from yesterday, when Naruto sensed their chakra nearby and went into the woods to meet his self-made summons. He had subtly changed into a shadow clone. When he arrived, the king revealed the bodies of Zabuza and the ice user along with the Kabikirabocho, proving that Meruem had succeeded. With great reluctance, Meruem had praised the ice user for his agility, cunning, and strategic combat rather than for his physical prowess or strength. To Naruto's amusement, the king had admitted that, although the ice user was still trash, it didn't smell as bad as most people did. Naruto conveyed his gratitude and satisfaction to the king when he dismissed them, but he had to leave Flutter behind to deliver the ice user's corpse and a sealed shadow clone to Estese in Snow Country. Naruto was certain that the dragonfly was nearly there by now because the journey took 10 times shorter by air than it would have by land, sea, and train combined. The shadow clone was being transported so that it could use the Chimera no Jutsu to fuse Estese's corpse with the ice user's, giving her access to the ice user's knowledge, skills, and bloodline limit. This would prepare the way for Estese to overthrow the dishonest Dodo and install Koyuki Hime as the legitimate heir. Koyuki Hime would then proceed to activate her father's device and transform Snow Country into Spring Country, just as her father had intended. Flutter would then have to go to Demon Country to meet Momochi Gatsu, the 16-year-old cousin of Momochi Zabuza. Momochi Gatsu, a Kirigakure no Sato native, is a member of Naruto's bloodline organization. The man had an intense hatred for his cousin Zabuza and vowed to exact revenge on him for the harm he had caused to their family. He attacked the Mizukage and left his family behind in Kirigakure, leaving Sato to bear the deadly consequences of his actions, since the Mizukage had ordered the Momochi family to be exterminated immediately. Even though Gatsu was only a small child at the time, he had survived thanks to his mother giving her life to allow him to escape. Since then, he has been on the run, fighting and barely surviving as Hunter Ninja after Hunter Ninja were sent after him, all the while harboring growing hatred for his cousin every day. Until the day he met Uzumaki Naruto in the Land of Moon, his life had been one of unending violence and misery. They had engaged in a fierce battle back then, but Naruto had managed to eke out a win because of his skill with the Kyuubi's power, though that skill wasn't nearly as strong as it is now. Gatsu couldn't believe that after eluding and outwitting so many skilled Hunter Ninja, he would be killed by what was essentially just a small but fierce brat. Instead, he had expected Naruto to kill him. But instead of killing him, Naruto had offered him something he had forgotten was even possible, a helping hand in friendship. Gatsu had never realized how much he missed having a friend, someone to confide in, talk to, and who would always have your back, until he was brought to tears. They had played ninja for the remainder of the month, which was strange because, typically, the only people who play ninja are those who aren't already ninja. Either way, that was the moment when Naruto informed him about the objectives of the Bloodline organization. Gatsu quickly accepted the offer because he was confident that anyone who earned Naruto's trust was deserving of it himself. Later, Naruto used the Chimera no Jutsu to grant Gatsu the ability to release the bloodline limit quickly. But for now, Flutter was supposed to deliver the Kabikirabocho and Zabuza's corpse to one of his closest friends. He hoped Gatsu would let him integrate Zabuza into himself. Gatsu was skilled in wind and lightning techniques as a swift release user because those are the elemental affinities that come together to create swift release. In addition to the abilities and wisdom of the 7 ninja swordsmen, Naruto hoped to grant him water release from Zabuza. Even though Gatsu was already a skilled swordsman and carried a massive blade similar to Zabuza's, Naruto believed that Gatsu's hatred for the guy was worth it because of his silent killing abilities, knowledge of KJR Igakure, and the other 7 ninja swordsman's skills. Along with giving him a better sword than the one he was using now, it would also enable him to comprehend Zabuza's motivations. Though it would take some work to persuade Gatsu of that, Naruto believed it was totally worth it. Whatever the case, there were more reasons to celebrate. While Kakashi was unconscious, Naruto dispatched a 4-man cell of shadow clones, and while the bastard was being tortured, he gave up all the passwords to his bank accounts, both personal and professional, and transferred all of his business assets to Tazuna's daughter Tsunami. This meant that every single one of Gato's thugs was eliminated, including the man himself. Wave Country was going to become one of the richest and most prosperous countries in the world when Naruto finished with it. Tsunami was going to become the daimyo, and Tazuna San would have enough money to expand his business abroad, but most importantly, Wave Country was going to be in his pocket. That was a great meal, Tsunami San. I haven't had a nice home-cooked meal like that in ever. Naruto said sincerely. I'm sure your mother cooks nice home-cooked meals every now and then too. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Tsunami responded, bringing the dining room to a tense silence. Sasuke and Kakashi both had worried expressions on their faces as they wondered how the blonde Uzumaki would respond to the raven-haired beauty's statement. The blonde Uzumaki said, actually, I'm an orphan. I've been living by myself since I gained self-awareness, since I was 4 years old, I think. Before then, I was at an orphanage, but they kicked me out onto the streets. Naruto said in a dark tone, while Tazuna, Inari, and Tsunami stood in stunned silence, unable to understand why a 3 or 4-year-old child would be allowed to live on the streets after being removed from an orphanage. With an expression filled with pain and regret, Tsunami stammered, Naruto-kun, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. It's alright, I moved past it long ago. I've been watching you with Inari and Tazuna-san since we arrived yesterday, and I've tasted your cooking. Despite everything that's going on in Wave Country, this is a lovely home, and it's all because of you. If I had a mother, it would have been wonderful if it was someone like you. You're a great woman, Tsunami-san. Naruto responded with a tiny smile, tears of both joy and sadness dripping from the raven-haired woman's eyes as she smiled lovingly at the blonde Uzumaki, a faint red hue spreading across her features. However, the blonde Uzumaki's remarks caused the woman's disobedient son to react quite differently. Shut up! Yelled Inari, bouncing to his feet and slamming his fists against the dining table. Though he appeared to brood constantly, Tsunami was shocked and stammered, saying, Inari-kun. Because her son had never had an outburst like this before and had always kept to himself. Why don't you just go away? I'm sick to my stomach of your presence, Inari yelled angrily. Naruto's thoughtful reply, unintentionally enraged the young child even more than he already was. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You coming here talking big, making jokes, and laughing like an idiot. You don't know anything about our pain. You've never lost anyone, so you don't know how it feels like to lose a precious person. Talking as if you could ever understand our pain. You don't know anything about true pain, and you're going to get mom and grandpa killed by making them believe in that nonsense. There's no such thing as a hero, and Gato will come after my family now all because of you. I hate you. Inari exclaimed with tears now free falling from his eyes, his whole body shaking violently, because of anger? Since he was in tears? Naruto was unaware. If the atmosphere seemed tense before, it was even more so now that the boy's outburst had everyone stunned into silence. Sasuke and Kakashi were preparing to try to stop Naruto in case he lost his temper and attacked the boy, while Tazuna and Tsunami were too shocked to speak or act regarding their grandchild and child, respectively, with Sakura essentially in the same situation as them. You're totally right. There's no way I can possibly imagine what it's like to lose someone precious to me, because I never had anyone to begin with. However, doesn't that mean that it is also true that you can't possibly have any idea what it is like to have never had anyone care about you before? To come home to an empty house with no one to welcome you back home, to go home from school and have no one to help you with your homework? To not have a fatherly figure to teach you how to be a man, to not have a motherly figure to comfort and encourage you. To shop for your own food as a 4-year-old and to prepare your own meals and iron your own clothes. To be totally alone in the world as you watch other kids enjoy the love and comfort of a family home. Can you say with certainty that your pain is greater than mine? Naruto asked rhetorically, Inari staring back defiantly at the blonde Uzumaki, but not having any retort to the blonde Uzumaki's words as he tried to imagine life without his mother and grandfather. Let me show you something. Do you know what this is? Naruto exclaimed, getting to his feet and pulling his sweater up to reveal the seal on his torso by channeling chakra to his stomach. Naruto. Shut up, Kakashi. Naruto said dismissively, causing everyone's eyes to widen in shock at his casual dismissal of his sensei, including Inari. Everyone realized that, despite his composed demeanor, Naruto was extremely irate at the moment and shouldn't be bothered with, well, aside from a certain pink-haired kunoichi who obviously hadn't read the handbook. Sakura trailed off, "Naruto. How dare you talk to UK?" As Naruto met her gaze. At that moment, a tremendous amount of killing intent washed over her, making her whole body tremble with fear as she withdrew back into herself. With a fascinated expression, Tazuna questioned, "What is that thing?" September 10th, the day that the strongest-tailed demon, Kyuubi no Kitsune, attacked Konoha, is when I was born 12 years ago. The Yondaime Hokage defeated the demon by sealing it into a child, and that child was me, said Naruto in a dramatic manner, making everyone shudder in terror except for Kakashi. Inari stammered fearfully, What? Yes, Inari, that beast lives inside me, and every day I fight the demon to keep it from killing me. It's a battle of mental fortitude, a battle of body and chakra strength, and a battle of emotional stability. Admittedly, I have the upper hand in this fight because of the Yondaime Hokage's seal, but it's loosening and eroding almost every week. Naruto admitted that he was exaggerating a little bit because he hadn't had any problems with the beast since he had unlocked his chakra chains. Tazuna questioned incredulously, No way. How can such a thing be? Naruto asked rhetorically, silence the only reaction he could elicit from his audience, everyone's minds being turned to mush from the massive amount of information. It is indeed possible, and I have been hated, scorned, manipulated, deceived, abused, attacked, spat on, and hospitalized, all because of something that was beyond my control. I have had to overcome a lot to get to where I am, so Inari, if I could overcome something like that, then why can't you and the people of Wave overcome a puny little man like Gato? He said. Some would argue that Naruto was overly dramatic, while others would counter that he was putting on a self-pity party rather than concentrating on aiding those who were currently in need. Some may even argue that this has been his way of doing things since he was 5 years old, that he constantly tries to make things about himself in order to attract attention, part of his histrionic behavior, and perhaps, just possibly, there is some truth to those claims. But to Naruto, this was just another planned move in a long series of schemes he was concocting in his mind. The goal was straightforward. Win over the hearts of Tazuna, the future richest man in Wave Country, and Tuna, the future daimyo, princess of Wave Country and richest woman in Wave Country, as well as the child who will be their heir. He wanted them to think poorly of Konoha for what they had done to him, so when the time came for them to decide between Konoha and the bloodline, they would have little choice. This was all part of the same goal. Naruto stated in a serious tone, in any case, you guys don't have to worry about Zabuza, Haku, or Gato and his thugs anymore, they're all dead. With a wide-eyed expression, Inari trailed off, essentially summarizing everyone's thoughts on the subject. What? He murdered them? When, though? Had he utilized shadow clones during his entire stay here? Cricking his hands in frustration at being so thoroughly outdone by the Dobi, Sake thought for the millionth time. Sakura, who was quick to notice Sasuke's discomfort, was about to give the blonde Uzumaki a hard time when, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how one chooses to look at it, she was stopped by Hitaki Kakashi. Naruto, the assassination of Gato was not part of our mission. Our mission was to protect Tazuna-san until the completion of the bridge. You have overstepped your boundaries. Kakashi chastised disapprovingly. That's right, our mission was to protect Tazuna-san until the completion of the bridge, which is exactly what I did. The only way to truly protect someone is to eliminate the threat, which is exactly what I did. If not, then Gato would have either hired a greater number of shinobi or gone and hired a S-ranked shinobi next time. I don't know about you, but I don't think our survival prospects would have improved had I not slayed Gato. Naruto replied clearly and concisely. Tsunami asked, frowning confusedly, but when did you do this? You've been here with us all this time, and who's this Haku person? I used shadow clones like the ones I used to carry Kakashi Sensei's unconscious body here yesterday. I only needed 4 of them to do the job, though in all honesty one would have done the job just fine. Gato's security was lacking. As for your other question, Haku is the ice user who was helping Zabuza. The Chimera ants told me his name when they delivered his and Zabuza's body last night when you were all sleeping. Naruto explained. That was Tsunami's thoughtful response, oh. With his one visible eye narrowed at the blonde Uzumaki, Kakashi questioned, Naruto, what have you done with Zabuza and Haku's body, and where is the Kabikirabocho? Spoils of war, they belong to me. I will use the knowledge I gain from their bodies to enhance my own knowledge, and hopefully that knowledge will be used for generations by the descendants of Uzumaki Naruto. I've yet to decide what to do with the Kabikirabocho. I'll study it of course, but once I'm done, maybe I'll use it as my weapon, maybe I'll sell it back to Kirigakure no Sato, maybe I'll use it to broker a treaty alliance when I become Hokage, who knows? The possibilities are limitless. Naruto replied with a far-off expression. Or you could hand it over to the Hokage, along with the corpses, I'm sure you'll be compensated handsomely for your hard work. Kakashi suggested. Much to Kakashi's chagrin, Naruto shot back, Not gonna happen. Possession of the corpses and the sword are compensation enough for me. I think I'll hold on to them. Anyway. Congratulations Tsunami. San. You are now officially the richest woman in Wave Country, and one of the richest people in the world. What? After 6 hours. With a deep sigh, it's time for me to go and prepare lunch, Naruto. Kun. Can we continue with this a little later? Tsunami inquired, finding it hard to believe how much mental labor could tire someone, nearly as much as physical labor, as far as she could tell. She had dedicated the entire morning to learning all she needed to know from the blonde Uzumaki in order to manage Gato Corporations. Wait, that was Tsunami Corporations, wasn't that right? To be honest, there was a lot to process, but Naruto assured her that she would grasp everything by the time her father finished building the bridge, which would likely take an additional 2 weeks. At first, she was terrified of owning a corporation of any kind, much less one as large as this one. She nearly went into nervous collapse when Naruto revealed his plan to use her money to support Wave Country's economy and finance the incorporation of her grandfather's Wave Constructions Company. But he also intended to use that power to take on the political position of Wave Country's daimyo. She was, however, more and more excited at the thought of becoming a strong and inspirational figure for her people, of being able to help those in need and mattered to someone other than her own family. The more Naruto talked her into it, the more he gave her reasons, and the more he encouraged and showed his confidence in her. Nevertheless, there were risks. Firstly, Gato's partners and adversaries might not be pleased with her in charge now, and there were also those whose businesses Gato had pilfered by forcing them to sell to him at lower prices while they were under duress. When they realized Gato was gone, those people would want something back, and they would turn her into their target. Furthermore, the fact that she was a woman would only serve to increase Gato's attractiveness as a target from both past and present competitors. All in all, though, the future appeared bright for her, her family, and her people because Naruto assured her that her position as daimyo alone would be sufficient to discourage such actions. However, just to be sure, he had also promised to arrange for her protection until she could organize her own army. As he gathered all the documents to reseal them into a scroll, Naruto said, "It's okay, you can take the rest of the day off. We'll rendezvous tomorrow morning, same time and same place." As Tsunami kissed the blonde Uzumaki on the forehead and hurriedly made her way to the kitchen, Naruto touched the spot where she had kissed him, his features showing a dazed expression. "Okay, thanks Naruto. Kun." Tsunami said. Naruto thought, her lips are so soft and wet, and then he quickly shook his head. What am I considering? She's not a shinobi, so she'll undoubtedly have concerns about my age. She will have to discover, though, that in political marriages, age really does not matter. She is a daimyo. With a playful twinkle in his eyes, Naruto considered, for all we know, Inari could end up engaged to a 30-year-old, attempting to picture Inari's reaction should Naruto divulge that small piece of knowledge. Naruto thought to himself, speaking of which, I can't wait to see what my shadow clone will be teaching him throughout the day. Naturally, he was unable to teach the child how to use chakra because it was against the law for him to do so as a Konoha shinobi, and he was certain that Kakashi would report him. On the other hand, he was instructing the child in the use of a sword, kunai, shuriken, knife, and hand. 2. Hand-fighting techniques. In addition, he planned to subject the child to extensive physical training, and by the time he departed, he was confident that he would have created a suitable curriculum that the child could continue to follow after his departure. He wanted the child to be able to defend his family in case the need arose, and he wanted the child to be able to at least take a basic education from random bandits and thugs similar to some of the ones that Gato used to take over Wave Country. He would learn the rest from his parental figures, mostly about his mom and grandpa's business and about what it meant to be a daimyo. Nevertheless, I'm curious about Sasuke and Sakura's progress with their tree. Climbing exercise, Naruto pondered as he sealed all of the documents on a scroll, the blonde Uzumaki using his chakra sensing to find their location and then quickly making his way there. Other. Traveling to the wave country. Standing on the left side of a medium-sized ship and facing the ocean with a grave expression on his face, a young man said, "Just a few more hours and we will reach wave country, Saitama Sensei." He is a man who is approximately 19 years old, slightly above average in height, and neither too short nor too tall. His complexion is pale, his hair is spiky, and his eyes are completely black except for the gold color of his pupils. He has a brown weapons pouch on his left thigh and is dressed in black pants and black boots that are fastened around his lower thighs with brown strings. Above, he is only donning a dark blue, sleeveless top and black, fingerless gloves on both hands. I thought we'd be a lot closer than that by now. Naruto. Sama is probably pissed off with us because we haven't caught up to Zabuza and his apprentice after he gave us the order to track them down. We really stink at this, and I blame you, Genos. Saitama, the other man, responded in a way that his friend and apprentice had never heard him use. Saitama is a man of average height, maybe a little on the short side, and he has no hair on any part of his body that is visible. He is dressed as Goku, wearing a two-piece, sleeveless outfit in shades of dark orange and red that is tied with a black sash around the waist. Underneath the sleeveless top is a black short-sleeved T-shirt, and he is sporting footwear that is similar to that of his apprentice. You're right, it is my fault. However, this time I am sure that we'll catch up to them in wave country. I won't fail Naruto. Sama again. Genos vowed to himself. I wouldn't even have a body had I miraculously survived that day if it weren't for Naruto. Sama. Because of Naruto. Sama, who gave up 2 years of his life for the Genos project, I have a synthetic body that allows me to perform tasks that other people can perform as well as mechanical body parts and weapons that I can call upon to defend those who are important to me. He gave me a purpose in life other than vengeance, and he even had me apprenticed to Saitama Sensei so I could learn how to use my new body and the weapons of destruction that come with it. I'm not going to give up no matter what. As Genos tightly gripped the railing, the metal groaned and gave way beneath his weight. Saitama apologized, hoping to calm his irate apprentice. I was just teasing. It's not your fault, Zabuza is just ridiculously good at covering his tracks, that's all. I know. It's just that, this is a very important mission. The situation in Snow Country depends on our success in order to be resolved, and I'm sure Naruto Sama is hoping that we kill Zabuza before he runs into Gatsu. Despite what Zabuza did, I'm sure Naruto Sama doesn't want Gatsu to bear the burden of having to kill his own family member, and neither do I. Genos said with a deep frown. This is so troublesome. Suzumaki and Fuka would have been far more suitable for this mission, if only they didn't have their hand tied down at the moment. They would have tracked this guy down long ago. Saitama retorted. With thoughtfulness, Genos trailed off, indeed. As he walked out of the woods and into the clearing where his allies were strolling, Naruto said, "It's been a long time, Saitama, Genos." He seemed to be an ordinary child meeting up with his friends in the forest. Genos bowed his head pityingly, a look of panic and distress fixed on his features. Naruto Sama, please forgive us. We have yet to find Zabuza and the Hyeten user. He exclaimed. Naruto answered, unable to contain his smirk as he noticed the shocked expressions Genos and Saitama were giving him. Don't worry about those two, their corpses are being delivered to Gatsu and Estese as we speak. So, you decided to go after them yourself after all, are we really that useless? Genos. Stop beating yourself up, damn it. I only came here because of a mission I got from Konoha. It was just sheer luck that the mission happened to involve Zabuza and the Hyeten user. Naruto grumbled. Curious, Saitama said, a mission from Konoha? So you finally graduated from the academy? What rank did they give you? Genin. Naruto deadpanned. Saitama and Genos looked at each other, startled by Naruto's statement as they tried to process what they had just heard, but soon burst out laughing. Ironically, given his age difference, Naruto lectured and chastised his friends in a single paragraph, saying, "You idiots, you can't just skip ranks, not in Konoha at least. Besides, this is good, being a genin draws less attention. Attention is not something any ninja should seek unless it is part of a grander scheme." I guess it makes sense when you put it like that, but still, the great Naruto Sama reduced to a mere genin, that's just crazy. Saitama responded. Yes well, I suppose I can see where you're coming from. In any case, it's a good thing that you guys are here. I just so happen to have a new mission for the two of you, but it won't be anything like the usual bloodline limit hunting missions you get. In fact, it doesn't involve a bloodline limit at all. Naruto stated this much to Genos and Saitama's. With curiosity, Genos said, "What do you mean? What kind of mission is it?" "I want the two of you to protect the woman I am grooming to become daimyo of Wave Country. I understand that neither of you are suited for this kind of mission as neither of you are sensor types, however, I'm going to be in Wave Country for a while still, until the bridge is finished. That should give me enough time to install the upgrades that will make you suitable for this job." Naruto clarified. "An upgrade? What kind of upgrade?" Saitama inquired inquisitively, and Genos nodded in agreement, noting that he was particularly interested in the latest upgrades. Genos and Saitama's eyes widened in shock as they realized what Naruto had said. An improvement on Genos' radar. Right now his radar allows him to detect heat signatures, but the upgrade I'll install will allow him to detect and identify people by their chakra, and the radius will be increased by 200%. Wow, that's incredible. Our bodyguard mission should be a breeze with these new upgrades, and we won't have so much trouble hunting down Kekkei Genkai users anymore. Saitama laughed. Genos firmly stated, "Why? Yes, indeed. With this new upgrade, we'll never fail you again, Naruto. Sama, I promise. I know you won't. Anyway, I'll need you to lay low until my team and I leave this place. The last thing we need is for Kakashi to discover you guys. I'll protect Tsunami-san and her family in the meantime as you guys familiarize yourselves with the place." "Oh yes, Saitama. Dono, I'll need you to train her son to use chakra. I've already started him on taijutsu, kenjutsu, and shuri kenjutsu, so when I'm gone, you take it from there and continue the kid's education," Naruto said. Saitama questioned inquisitively, "Train her son? Why? Are you planning to recruit the kid for the bloodline?" "No, not at all, but I can't have you on bodyguard duty forever, you know. The kid needs to be able to protect his family when you guys leave. He'll also have the responsibility to create a military force for the new daimyo, which will be his mother and he himself in the future," Naruto clarified. "You've really thought this through, haven't you?" Genos remarked, continuing to be astounded by Naruto's intelligence and foresight for someone so young. "Yes, I have. Now I'm not allowed to teach ninjutsu to a stranger because of my affiliation to Konoha, but I will be teaching Inari taijutsu and weapon skills, and of course I will be training his body to peak human condition. I'll leave behind a program for him to follow and you guys will just make sure he sticks to it for the next 12 months. After that you can teach him how to harness his chakra and all the basic principles of ninjutsu. You don't have to teach him jutsu beyond the basic necessities like shunshin, bunshin, henge, and how to harness his elemental affinity. That should be good enough. He can discover the rest on his own or develop his own ninjutsu if he can," stated. "So basically, our role is to give him a solid foundation and the necessary basics needed to become a competent shinobi?" Saitama chuckled. "Basically. He must be strong enough that low-level bandit armies like the one Gato used to take over Wave Island won't even stand a chance against him. So basically I'd say about Chunin level of skill. If he wants to get stronger than that so be it, but he'll have to do it on his own. He's still young so he'll have more than enough time to develop himself to whatever level he desires," Naruto clarified. Saitama shot back, "Okay, fine, got it." Naruto said, "Okay good. I'll see you guys around. Y'all take care now," before vanishing in a puff of smoke. "A shadow clone?" exclaimed Genos. Saitama angrily remarked, "He makes those things look so real I can never tell the difference." Genos pleaded, determined not to ever have to apologize to Naruto Sama for failing him again. "Yes, I'd say. However, let us do as Naruto Sama ordered and familiarize ourselves with the area. I'm sure Naruto Sama will come back to install my upgrades by the end of the day." Later on that evening, Naruto remarked, "Wow, you don't have any quit in you, do you?" After being impressed by the young Uchiha's tenacity and resolve. With a look of unrelenting disbelief on his face, Sasuke remained silent and kept his gaze fixed on the fair Uzumaki. In an attempt to perfect the art of tree walking, he had dedicated the entire day to it, putting all of his Uchiha mental and physical strength and discipline to the test. Although he wouldn't exactly say that the effort was in vain, He had really improved. He was extremely irritated by Sakura's ability to quickly become proficient at the exercise. He doubted he had ever felt weak and useless as he did at that moment. Not even when Itachi had belittled and humiliated him had he ever felt this low, or when he had watched the Dobi outperform him at every turn since they had graduated. It was the most frustrating and embarrassing moment of his life. In relation to the Dobi, he had been training beside him, opening and lifting absurd weights that he wouldn't even think a Jonin could manage, but the Dobi was managing to do just that. Weighted sprinting and taijutsu kata practice had occupied his entire day, along with weighted press. Ups, ups, bicep curls, and bench presses. Now, he was busy squatting a weight that appeared to be nearly half a ton without the use of chakra. How ludicrous was that, even with the chakra employed? The bear had been acting in this manner all day and night, and now he was daring to tell him how much he didn't give up. Absence of quit for what reason? Going up that damn tree? That was great, but how much better was what the Dobi had been doing all day? In comparison to Sakura's quick mastery of the damn tree exercise, how amazing was that? He would have beaten the Dobi senseless for that remark alone if he wasn't so afraid of him, not that he would ever admit it. Sasuke eventually responded, remaining as composed and indifferent as ever, "You're one to talk." He was never going to reveal to the Dobi how much he was bothering him. For Sasuke, accepting that the Dobi is a lesser and insignificant being, something he has always been and always will be, was the only thing he needed to convince himself of in order to maintain his sense of self. Worth and self-esteem. You need not worry about Kakashi's taunting. He was just, in his own twisted and sadistic way, trying to encourage you. Sakura is not more talented than you at chakra control, she simply has too little and insignificant chakra reserves for it to be a challenge to control her chakra. You are a Uchiha prodigy, so your chakra is extremely dense and potent, and your reserves are significantly larger than Sakura's. So of course it would take that much more effort for you to reign in that large and potent chakra. It's the only reason you are struggling and she is not. If anything, Sakura should be right here with you, working hard in order to increase her chakra reserves, because once you master this technique you will be so much faster and stronger compared to her. Naruto went into detail. Sasuke asked condescendingly, "Why would I be faster and stronger just because of this?" But, in his heart, he was actually really relieved to hear everything the Dobi had just said. Chakra is used to augment physical abilities like speed and strength, so obviously the better your control the better you are at those things. There are other factors like the potency and density of your chakra, and the amount of chakra that you can move to certain areas of your body. As you have much higher stats in all three departments of density, potency, and capacity compared to Sakura, then, by mastering the same exercise as her, you will enjoy that many more benefits. Naruto clarified, and Sasuke was unable to appear on his face right away. Rather too soon, Sasuke said, "That means I'll also be able to keep up with you, right?" Naruto laughed at the incredulous expression the Uchiha was giving him at that moment, saying, "Hee. Don't get ahead of yourself, you haven't even mastered the water walking technique yet." With annoyance, Sasuke exclaimed, "The water what?" Sasuke's eyes widened in shock and abrupt realization as Naruto said, "Come on now, Sasuke. You saw Zabuza and Kakashi's fight, right? You did see them standing and fighting on top of the water, didn't you?" With a furious expression, Sasuke said, "You're all lucky I haven't awakened my Sharingan yet. If I had my Sharingan this would all be child's play." This made Naruto's eyes widen as a thought flashed through his mind. Curious, Naruto said, "Hey Sasuke, tell me, how does one go about awakening the Sharingan anyway?" Intense trauma or intense battle. Usually it is awakened as death approaches during a death battle. The Uchiha's intense emotions and survival instincts come to the fore and the blood reacts to those emotions and the manifestation of the Sharingan is achieved. There are some who have simply trained their eyes until the Sharingan manifested, but those are few and far between. Sasuke spoke as if he were reading a book. With a cunning smirk plastered on his face, Naruto said, "I see. Well, you know what, I think I can help you to awaken your Sharingan. You said so yourself, right? These chakra control exercises would be a piece of cake." Sasuke wasn't a favorite of Naruto's. It would be easy to characterize Sasuke as a conceited, annoying, and self-centered prick with a horrible superiority complex. Though Naruto was debating whether or not to draft him into the bloodline, there was no denying his potential and the fact that he posed a significant flight risk to Konoha in addition to having a strong bloodline limit. As the only way to know Sasuke well enough to determine whether or not he could be trusted, Naruto realized that in order to reach that conclusion, he would need to be friendly and make an effort to get close to him. He reasoned that sparring with him and occasionally helping him learn jutsu would be a good way to get to know a ninja from a clan with such a long and illustrious history as the Shinobi. Naturally, there were additional factors contributing to Sasuke's rapid advancement. In actuality, Naruto was unaware of the exact moment when Akatsuki would choose to take action against him. But he knew without a doubt that Itachi would be among those sent to find him. Aside from bringing his clan back to life, Sasuke's only goal in life was to destroy Uchiha Itachi. Thus, it was in Naruto's best interest to have Sasuke as strong as possible at that point in case Itachi pursued him, since Sasuke would unintentionally wind up fighting for Naruto whether he realized it or not. Sasuke would then take care of his brother and Naruto would only need to worry about Itachi's partner, or at least keep him at bay long enough for Naruto to finish his own battle. What? Stammered Sasuke. Naruto produced 4 shadow clones without a seal, then said, I think I can help you awaken your Sharingan. The shadow clones vanished in all 4 directions. What are you doing, Dobi? Sasuke questioned, his expression bewildered. Naruto gave a succinct explanation, saying, the clones are going to set up a barrier around the forest so that no one can hear or see anything inside the barrier. Sasuke questioned with disbelief, why would we need a barrier like that? What are you going to do, Dobi? Naruto said, a sinister smirk forming into his facial features, I'm going to kill you of course, or at least try to, depending on whether what you said is true or not. I want to see if you really will awaken your Sharingan if I try to kill you. Sasuke's memories of Uchiha Itachi flashed through his mind, as that was the only time he could recall feeling as terrified and helpless as he did right now. Here I come, Sasuke. Dobi. Sasuke exclaimed with a fervor never heard from him before, a cry that would echo through the forest for the rest of the evening. After a month. Naturally, a lot had happened in the month since Kakashi and his students returned to Konoha, and he sensed that the ongoing headache he had been suffering since taking over Team 7 was about to get worse. Normally, being in charge of Team 7 would have been a blessing and an honor. Naruto possessed incredible strength and was evidently a genius far beyond Kakashi's level of skill. At Naruto's age, Kakashi was already a Jonin, but with 16 years of Jonin experience under his belt and a Sharingan now, Naruto had made short work of him. Then he had made short work of Zabuza and Haku, a rival who had made short work of Kakashi before the blonde Uzumaki intervened. The blonde Uzumaki was a monster. Kakashi could only speculate as to what he would turn into once he began channeling the powers of the real monster inside of him. Official rankings meant nothing. Uchiha Sasuke was the next in line. The last Kakashi had remembered, he was having difficulty with the tree climbing exercise. Less than a day later, the young Uchiha returned with a Sharingan and the ability to perform the tree and water technique with effort. At the time of their departure from Wave Island, he had already unlocked the second Tomoe on the left side in addition to the 2 on the right that were present in his Sharingan. Although it might not have seemed like much, Kakashi was aware of how challenging it was to advance a Sharingan and how much power could be gained from just 1 extra Tomoe. He was aware that Sasuke's growth was being driven by the blonde Uzumaki and that Naruto had a direct influence on Sasuke's development. Sasuke asserted that he had only sparred the blonde Uzumaki, and that the sparring had grown so intense that it had awakened his Sharingan, while Naruto denied any involvement. Although Kakashi didn't find any lies, he was aware that the previous Uchiha was omitting a lot from that statement. Kakashi only had one question: to what end? What made Naruto assist Sasuke? The 2 of them were obviously very different from one another, and it didn't take a genius to see that. They didn't like each other at all. Why did Naruto feel the need to strengthen Sasuke? What was it he desired? Was he going to use Sasuke to achieve his own objectives? If so, what made him feel the need to do that, and how? What was the blonde Uzumaki planning to achieve, considering how powerful he was and how much more potent his summons could be? Kurenai's personality analysis of the blonde Uzumaki explained that he is a trickster by nature, and that, despite the surface appearance of meaninglessness and self-gratification, every action he took had a purpose that only the trickster knew. That made sense, Kakashi knew, but he could not for the life of him figure out what the blonde Uzumaki was planning, and this was the same guy who had always preached the maxim, always look beneath the underneath, as though it were a mantra. To be honest, Sasuke and Naruto were prize students. From the outside, anyone would think he was lucky to have them, but as they say, the devil is in the details. First of all, Kakashi's task included impeding the advancement of the blonde Jinchuriki and the lone Uchiha due to the obvious fact that they posed a risk to flight, specifically high alert flight risk. Their commitment to the village and their mental stability were dubious at best, if not now then maybe in the future. Konoha would be unwise to invest too much in the people who could be their downfall. He was meant to stall them until their allegiance could be thoroughly established. He still wanted a rematch and the opportunity to prove himself, but how was he supposed to accomplish that when one of them was arguably stronger than him? It's possible that he felt caught off guard and utterly unprepared for the blonde Uzumaki's true strength and intelligence. Nevertheless, all that was really necessary to say was that he should have been given another chance. Seemingly without his assistance and with the help of the person who was arguably stronger than him, the other one was progressing at an amazing rate. The only person who showed no signs of movement was the one who the village didn't really care about all that much. It was a harsh way of putting it, but Sakura could pass away horribly at this point and it would have no bearing at all on the village's military might. Other than her family and fellow graduates and their senseis, he doubted anyone would notice. Sakura was a certain death waiting to happen, so that was just another headache in the making. Upon their return from Wave Island, he had given her a training program. Since she was an adult now, that's the status that comes with being an academy graduate, he hadn't followed up with her to see if she was adhering to the program. If she couldn't follow such an easy training regimen on her own, that wasn't his problem. It was alright, but he didn't plan to panhandle anyone. She was clearly making an attempt, but he also sensed that she was only fulfilling about 25% of the requirements set out by the program. Put another way, she hadn't improved nearly as much as he had hoped she would have by now. This was unfortunate for her, as he had only just given them the Chunin exam application forms, barely 6 minutes ago. As it was, she would most likely pass out during the second exam section if she signed the paperwork. He had to rush to the Hokage's office because he was already 2 hours late for the meeting, so he didn't really have time to think about any of that. Group 7. With as much enthusiasm as an emotionally deficient, borderline psychopathic Uchiha can muster, Sasuke said, "Finally, a chance to test myself against strong opponents. Maybe this will be the push I need to unlock the third Tomoe for my eyes. Yes, I'm sure there are a lot of monsters out there that will be entering the exams. It should be interesting." Uzumaki, a blonde, thought. Sasuke said, in a tone that was halfway between a question and a statement, "Dobi. I assume you'll be entering the exams. Not like I have a choice now. You do know that if even one of us doesn't submit the forms then we can't enter either, right?" Quips Naruto. Sakura cried out in a panic, "W. What? T. That can't be. Kakashi. Sensei would have said something if that were so." "Really? Kakashi? You mean like he told us he had a Sharingan even though he knew how important that information would have been to Sasuke? Or like he told us anything about himself during our first introductions? Or perhaps like he told us that." Sakura shook her fist angrily and said, Okay. I get it. He probably wouldn't have told us. In fact, it's just like him to pull a stunt like this, Shanaru." As she daydreamed of terrorizing their weird sensei, who looked like a scarecrow. Sasuke turned and left without even waiting for an answer. "Then, you two better not hold me back. I'll put you on my list of people to kill right next to Itachi if you do." "Sasuke. Kun, where are you going?" Before Sakura could ask the question all the way through, Sasuke's voice broke through. "Home. Do you want to?" "No." Once more, Sasuke's stern and unyielding voice piercing the atmosphere before Sakura could say anything more. Naruto turned to walk away, saying, "Well, I admire your dedication and never say give up attitude, if nothing else." "Unlike you mean?" Sakura exclaimed, and at that, Naruto stopped abruptly, uncertain if he was hearing correctly, that is, if she meant what he believed her to mean. Without looking back, Naruto questioned, "What's that supposed to mean exactly?" "You used to proclaim your love for me on a daily basis, you said that you loved me and asked me out at every opportunity you had. But since graduation you haven't so much as looked at me with longing and desire. You totally and completely gave up, but I'm not as weak-minded as you, Naruto. I'll never give up on Sasuke." "Kun," Sakura said with determination. "Well, that's good for you, however I on the other end would prefer not to waste my time with illogical gestures." Sakura demanded angrily, flexing her arms and clenching her fists as she fought the impulse to smash the blonde to nothing. "What did you say?" she asked. "If I never gave up on you? What good would that serve me if you two will never give up on Sasuke? For me to finally win you over would mean that you finally gave up on Sasuke, but since I already know you WLL never give up on Sasuke, then that means I could never win you over, doesn't it? I mean, this is common sense, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 sort of thing. Besides, I've got far more important things to worry about, believe it or not, and I say this not with the intention to hurt or offend you, but, right now, I harbor absolutely no romantic feelings for you. To me, you're just a work colleague. Naruto delivered apathetically, without a shadow of doubt or even a hint of a lie in his tone of voice of disposition. Sakura's heartstrings clenching tightly with painful realization that there was absolutely no one in the world with the exception of her parents who gave a crap about her, unable to even master a response as she tried and failed to hold back the painful, choking sobs that escaped her throat. Naruto said, "I'll leave you with one piece of advice though. Sasuke, as he is now, is only interested in strong people. He has no patience or concern for the weak. Being kind and romantic is not going to get you any attention from him. If you want him to notice you, then you should focus on developing yourself as a kunoichi. You might still not get his attention in a romantic sense, but at least he will be paying attention to you. That's a start at least." Naruto then continued on his journey, not really caring whether Sakura followed his advice but curious to see what she would do if she did and how Sasuke would react. In the interim, Hokage's office. Soon after reaching the Hokage's office, Kakashi inquired, "So, what did I miss?" Sarutobi's left eyebrow twitched angrily at the copy ninja's tardiness. Jiraiya stated objectively, "I see you haven't changed at all, Kakashi, at least as far as your tardiness is concerned." Since he had been waiting so long to respond to the old man's summons, he was well aware that he was in no position to judge the copy ninja, especially considering the gravity of the situation, but he would also be lying if he claimed he didn't feel like smashing the guy to death with a big ball Rasengan to the head at this very moment. "Jiraiya. Sama. It's been a long time. Is it possible to get an autograph? Enough." Hiruzen finally yelled, slamming his hands against his desk and sending a wave of murderous intent through the entire office, which included Jiraiya the Toad Sannin, Yuhi Kurenai, Sarutobi Isuma, Maeda Guy, and Hitaki Kakashi. "Sir?" Kakashi asked as he instantly stood to attention, suddenly realizing that he was still subject to the Hokage's wrath. Authoritatively, "Jiraiya, tell them everything that you told me." Hiruzen said. "Ahem. I've been debriefed on the situation regarding my godchild Uzumaki Naruto, and I've been told that Kakashi has been overseeing the situation with the help and guidance of you three. First, let me say that if everything I have heard about Naruto is true, then I believe under the circumstances, no one can fault you for having as much trouble as you have had to get to the bottom of the situation. I should know, being a spy master myself." Jiraiya started by pausing to look every one of the 4 Jonin senseis in the eyes. "Having said that, I would inform you that I have now returned, and I will be handling the situation. Nothing has to change as far as you are concerned, especially you, Kakashi. You will continue to be his Jonin sensei and continue to investigate and to keep an eye on him. However, I will be taking him under my wing as my protege, as his father would have wanted. I will mentor him and push him in the right direction, while investigating the shady forces behind his change in behavior and demeanor." Jiraiya continued, taking a moment to allow the details to sink in before proceeding to the next topic of conversation. "Now, there is something much more sinister and dangerous that is of immediate concern, concerning Naruto, concerning the future of Konoha, and perhaps indirectly, concerning the well-being of you yourselves and your students, a criminal organization comprised solely of S-rank ninja criminals known as Akatsuki. My old teammate Orochimaru is a former member of this organization. In fact, I only know about them because I have spent years monitoring and tracking Orochimaru." Jiraiya clarified. "I'm sorry, Jiraiya Sama, but, in as far as I understand the threat posed by the existence of such an organization, I absolutely can't see how any of this has anything to do with Naruto." "Kun." Kurenai sighed in disbelief. Pin-drop silence descended upon the office of the Grave News, as Jiraiya shot back, "It has everything to do with him. This organization's main goal is to hunt and capture all 9 Biju. Naruto, as you know very well, is a Jinchuriki of the strongest of the Biju, which likely means that he is their most important target." With a somber undertone, Kakashi inquired, "If I may ask, Jiraiya Sama, who are the members of this organization, aside from Orochimaru of course?" "They are a very secretive organization. I only know 2 other members as it is, Uchiha Itachi, and Hoshigaki Kisame. I only know about Itachi because apparently the reason Orochimaru defected from this organization is because he tried and failed to take on Itachi. He was likely trying to get his hands on the Uchiha bloodline limit, but from what I hear he was soundly defeated. Following the Itachi lead, I was able to learn that his traveling partner is Hoshigaki Kisame, which means that they are partners as Akatsuki operate in two-man cells. Jiraiya clarified. Asum questioned incredulously, Uchiha Itachi? Isn't he like, what, 17 years old? He was 13 years old when he single-handedly massacred his clan, and it was just a year later when he made quick work of Orochimaru. Orochimaru likely underestimated him. He has that tendency due to the sheer size of his ego, but still, underestimated or not, to defeat a Sannin at the age of 14 and to slaughter a clan as powerful as the Uchiha at the age of 13 takes some serious, otherworldly talent. He is likely even more dangerous now at the age of 17, and that's one man alone. With Kisame helping him, their strength as a team is something I don't want to even imagine. Naruto is in serious trouble. The fate of the ninja world itself in fact hangs in the balance, especially if the other members are packing this much firepower, which in all likelihood they are. Jiraiya said with a sorrowful tone. So that's why you have decided to take Naruto under your wing. It's a good move, but how do you train someone who won't reveal his strengths and limitations to you? How do you pass on your secrets to someone who you don't trust, to someone who for all you know would use those gifts to destroy the most precious things to you? How do you pass on your legacy to someone as shrouded in darkness as Naruto is? Kakashi paused. I don't have much of a choice. If I don't help him and Akatsuki take him, how do I face his father and mother when my time comes to pass on to the afterlife? If I don't help him, isn't the risk greater by allowing Akatsuki to get their hands on the Kyuubi? Besides, the Rasengan is his jutsu by birthright, and his father used to summon toads. You think he'll want to sign the toad summoning contract? I mean, according to Kakashi's report, he already has a summoning clan of his own, a very powerful one at that. Kurenai responded with skepticism. I'll have to convince him. No, in fact he has to sign it. It's the only surefire way for me to keep him under my protection and under my control. As long as he is a toad summoner I can track him no matter where in the world he goes. Jiraiya countered. He won't sign the contract, and if he does, it will only be because he already has figured out a way to negate whatever it is that he thinks you intend to do. In other words, it will only be because he has a way to get out of the contract if he so pleases, or because he intends to kill you and become the sole summoner of the toads. Declared Kurenai. Naruto is strong, no doubt, that he defeated Kakashi and then Zabuza and Haku is a true testament to how dangerous he is, but he is still 100 years too young to outwit me. Jiraiya responded. Jiraiya. Sama, no one respects your strength and your achievements more than I, but this is seriously a big gamble that you're taking. Naruto is no ordinary kid, no, more than that, he is no ordinary ninja. Kakashi cautioned. So you've said. However, like I said, I'm going in with both my eyes open. Also, I'm not only going to be teaching him how to be good ninja, I'll be showing him how to be a good person too. Jiraiya emphasized. Okay, it sounds like you know what you're doing. Should I let Naruto know or? Jiraiya said dismissively, no. Don't tell him anything. I don't want him to see me coming. Okay then, if that's all then I would like to be. With his hands folded across his face, Hiruzen said, that's not all Kakashi, Jiraiya has more to say to you four. This time it concerns you and all four of your genin teams. All four? Asuma questioned, her face showing shock. Well, in particular it concerns the students with bloodline limits, but since all four of your teams have at least one person with a bloodline limit, then yes, it concerns all four of your teams. Guy said incoherently, I'm not sure I follow you, Hokage. Sama sir. When I discovered Akatsuki I decided to go on ahead and find out if there are other hidden organizations of that ilk. You must understand that it came as an absolute shock to me to find out that such an organization could slip through the cracks like Akatsuki did. So I began to wonder if there might be other organizations perhaps not as dangerous but one warranting the need to keep an eye on. To my surprise I found out about one possibly just as dangerous as Akatsuki that had also slipped through the cracks. Jiraiya spoke with a serious attitude. An additional group equally hazardous as Akatsuki? Kurenai inquired, her eyes wide with fear and surprise. For 3 to 4 years now, perhaps longer, the number of people with bloodline limits that have disappeared across the elemental nations has increased by 35%. Bear in mind I'm not talking about the number of people with bloodline limits who have died, I'm specifically talking about those who have disappeared, vanished without a trace. Jiraiya literally dropped an explosive tag in the office's center. Kakashi remarked warily, that's discomforting, to put it mildly. That's the least disconcerting part of it, trust me. What you should know is that in the last 2 years 3 members of each of the great bloodline clans of Konoha have disappeared, including the Hyuga, although thankfully only branch house members from the Hyuga have disappeared. Jiraiya explained it deeply. Kakashi uttered, horrified, no way. That would mean. Hiruzen deadpanned, exactly. This organization has an agent operating on the inside in Konoha. With a mix of caution and rage, Sarutobi Asuma inquired, what is the exact name of this organization? The clan heads have all been alerted and of course they will be taking measures to ensure the safety of their kinsmen. Unlike Akatsuki, who we know work in 2 men cells, we have no idea how this organization operates. You'll have to be careful, all of you, Jiraiya warned, a deathly silencing taking hold of the office as everyone silently wondered if it was possible to defeat this level of foes without losing loved ones. The only name I was able to hear whispered was the bloodline. None of the members or their abilities are known, or at least they are so careful and competent that even I haven't been able to find out anything about them. Jiraiya trailed off gravely, I wish I could say that was all you had to worry about, but there's more. Kurenai could hardly contain herself as she nearly cried out, there's more. Jiraiya dropped what was perhaps the biggest bomb of the day, I'm afraid so. Orochimaru has founded his own ninja village in the land of rice paddies, recently renamed as the Nation of Sound. The name of the hidden village is Otogakure no Sato, and we believe Orochimaru is planning to invade and destroy Konoha during the Chunin exams. This one involved a former Sandaime Hokage student and village legend, and it seemed to have a more specific timeline. Is the village going to hold out against Orochimaru's invasion, the bloodline, and the Akatsuki? If Yondaime Sama had been alive, things would have turned out very differently, Kurenai thought nervously. After 3 days. Beautiful, what is your name? Looking intently at the stunning girl's glasses, Naruto inquired. With her long, silky red hair and equally red eyes, she is a very beautiful girl. She was wearing tight black shorts, a blue skirt over the shorts, a reddish-brown long-sleeve top, and a black flak jacket over it. She had a Kusagakure head protector on her forehead and, of course, the glasses that Naruto had so kindly and considerately placed over her eyes. Hello, my name is Karen. How about you? The girl, who was now going by Karen, asked with stars in her eyes, not believing that this was real and she wasn't dreaming. She had never seen a boy so handsome before and was obviously happy that he was the one who was going to save her life. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I'm a genin from Konoha. Since I'm here, I suppose it should be pretty obvious that I am a genin. Naruto chuckled uncomfortably. Yeah, Karen stammered, blushing on both cheeks as she fixed her dreamy gaze on the boy squatting in front of her. Naruto wondered, not ruling out the possibility that she actually didn't know as he too hadn't once and probably still wouldn't if it weren't for Kabuto. She didn't react at all when I told her my last name, and she didn't give me her last name. Then does that mean that she isn't aware of her lineage, or is she just being cagey and playing it safe? He asked himself. So you just go by Karen and don't have a last name? Not wanting to drag this out any longer than necessary, Naruto asked directly. Yes, I am an orphan. My parents passed away when I was still a toddler, long before I really developed any sense of self. I can't even recall their appearance, Karen sadly answered. I see. With a genuine and content smile on his face, Naruto said, I'm very sorry for your loss, Karen. I too am an orphan, and for a while I thought I was the last of my bloodline. But then I met Uzumaki Fuka, and now I have met Uzumaki Karen, so you could say I'm probably the happiest man in the world right now. Karen, you. Uzumaki? Karen stammered, looking at the blonde Uzumaki with hope in her eyes wide with shock and surprise. I can tell that you're a sensor type, which implies that you can infer that I am a sensor type as well. In light of this, you should be aware that, like Fuka and I have become proficient at spotting differences in people based on our ancestry and, to a lesser extent, nationality. For this reason, I am positive that you, too, are an Uzumaki. Although you haven't had much training, your senses are just as strong as mine. Eventually, though, you ought to be able to match my level of sensitivity. Other telltale signs of your ancestry include your red hair, powerful chakra, and sizable reserves of chakra energy. Naruto declared with confidence, sincerity, and conviction glistening in his eyes, you are without a doubt my cousin. You and I are family, and from now on nothing will ever separate us. Why? You. You mean that there's another one of us named Fuka and that you and I are actually family? Karen stammered, feeling as though the shock of the news would cause her to pass out, her head spinning. Yeah. I just have a quick question for you. How attached are you to Kusagakure no Sato? I have a lot to teach you about the Uzumaki clan. You see, I really did mean to say that once I found you, I would not allow anyone or any village to sever a relationship. Having said that, I don't want to assume anything about your circumstances, so let me know how devoted are you to this village? With curiosity as well as caution, Naruto inquired, fully aware of how challenging it would be to entice Karen to leave Kusa if she had any attachments there. Are you requesting that I leave Kusagakure no Sato? To turn into an outlaw ninja? Karen questioned in terror. Yes, I am. Deadpanned Naruto. Her teammates were dead, having died pretty early in the exam. She would have too, had it not been for her stealth skills and her chakra extinguishing technique, which allowed her to hide from even sensor-type shinobi. She was just unlucky to have run into the abnormally large bear that attacked her. To be honest, she wanted nothing more than to cut her ties to that horrible place. Literally no one in Kusagakure was kind to her, not even her teammates and sensei. She would have gladly accepted Naruto Kun's offer without a second thought if she had not been concerned for his own health and survival, but in any case, there was definitely no love lost between her and Kusagakure no Sato. The only reason she hadn't defected up until now was because she knew she wouldn't last a month out there on her own, with bloodlusting hunter ninja coming after her and all the other dangerous people she would inevitably run into. I'm sorry, but I'm unable. That is not how I can endanger your life. Hunting ninja will be sent after me if I defect, and even though you're powerful, you're still only a genin, so they would kill you. Furthermore, how are you going to defend this to your own supervisors? Will you plead with them to accept me as a shinobi from Konoha? How would one go about doing that? What made them trust such a betrayer? What assurance would they have that I wouldn't subsequently leave Kono? Hey, let's unwind. Nobody will be aware of your location. You will receive excellent training in their land when I send my summons there. Of course, I'll come see you frequently and assist you with your training. We'll depart Konoha together once your training is over and you're strong enough. Don't worry, I have a lot of allies, and the bloodline is our own organization. I believe that everyone in the organization is strong enough to defeat a Kage, and I say that too. Naruto reassured him, you can ask anyone. Even though I'm only masquerading as a genin, I can fight an elite jonin and win. I even beat my jonin sensei Hitaki Kakashi in battle. What? This is so hard to believe that it's true. I mean, I know you're not lying, I doubt you would, and if you were, I could sense it from your chakra. But still, it just doesn't seem possible. Hey, just unwind. As Naruto pulled Karen into a tender embrace, she melted into his body and clung to him, her head nestled in the crook of his neck. Calm down, I'll explain everything from the beginning so that you understand. Okay, Naruto said. With a heavy heart, Naruto wondered, I wonder if this is the first hug she can remember ever having. He promised to make sure Karen always felt loved, treasured, and appreciated from now on. Naruto started by telling Karen not just his story but also the story of the entire Uzumaki clan. Okay, it all started when, he said. It took an hour to explain everything to Karen, during which time they sat in the middle of a clearing holding hands tightly, acting more like a couple on a romantic getaway than a dangerous shinobi war zone. Naturally, this was of little concern to skillful sensor types such as themselves, for they could sense an enemy ninja approaching from a great distance, meaning they were essentially free to do as they pleased. Had they truly been lovers, they might have even engaged in passionate sex there without any worries. Though it made sense now that he had told her everything, Karen finally understood why Naruto was so strong and confident. She was eager to meet the other members of the Bloodline organization, especially Fuka Oni-chan, and she was extremely excited about the prospect of meeting Naruto's strength because it would allow her to not only protect herself but also to protect him and be useful to him in the organization. I'll have to leave it to Naruto-kun to decide. He seems to know what he is doing. Karen thought excitedly, I wonder what bloodline limit he will give me. Will it even be necessary if I master all the Uzumaki barrier jutsu, sealing jutsu, and ninjutsu? Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to get something extra. I, Uzumaki Karen, your clan sister, hereby formally renounce my affiliation with Kusagakure no Sato and will assist you in your endeavors to reconstruct the Uzumaki clan and the village hidden in the whirlpool tides. Okay, Naruto-kun. son of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. I also accept your invitation to become a member of the bloodline, Karen exclaimed with unbridled happiness. Excellent, let's move quickly and go. Naruto trailed off, his features suddenly tense and his shoulders slightly stiffening. What's that? Karen questioned tremblingly. A hostile shinobi is moving in from the west. Their chakra is filled with sinister intent and aggression. Are you also able to detect evil intent? Karen inquired in wonder. I can, indeed. Be prepared, they're going to move quickly. These aren't normal genin, they might not even be real genin at all, Naruto said in a serious tone, yanking Karen to her feet as he too braced himself for what was about to happen. Karen, sensing the warning, hurriedly extended her mind's Kagura of the eye to feel out her potential attacker's chakra. She was surprised by how quickly they were moving and couldn't believe how powerful and strong their chakra was. This proved to her that Naruto's analysis was accurate, as these were by no means normal genin. Karen tried to comfort herself, choosing to put her trust in Naruto. After all, if he wasn't sure he would win, he would have told them to flee rather than take on the enemy head. On like this. Naruto. Kun's chakra is also very strong, stronger than them actually, and he has an infinite amount of it. His chakra flow is also well refined, he's definitely a highly skilled individual. With a sly grin full of malice etched on her features, the group's female member with red hair and a bandana on her head exclaimed, "Hey, how peculiar." Yes, it surprised me that he was with his girlfriend. Should we kill the girl or leave them both? The middle person, the big boned one with the orange mohawk, said in a truly contemplative manner, as if carefully weighing the advantages and disadvantages of each option. That's not what I was talking about, Jirobo, you fat fucking slob. I refer to the fact that these two, being sensor types, were able to detect our approach from a distance and still opted to stand there and wait for us to make our presence known. They are sensor types, so they know exactly how strong we are, and yet here they are, sizing us up with no apparent concern. It really irritates me when weaklings attempt to appear tough, Tayuya angrily uttered. Tayuya, watch what you say. A lady ought not. That's what Jirobo managed to say before the redhead girl, who was now identifying herself as Tayuya, interrupted him with a barrage of expletives. Tayuya, wait a moment. Given that you are a sensor type yourself and can determine your approximate strength from the feel of your chakra, shouldn't you be able to tell us how strong they are as well? Analytically, said the third team member, a boy with black lipstick, relatively short white hair, and what seemed to be a clone of himself strapped to his back. So what the heck, who told you that I'm a sensor type in the first place? And just who the hell am I speaking with, Yukon or Sakin? Tayuya yelled in utterly unjustified rage. Sakin angrily remarked, it's Sakin you asshole, I look and sound nothing like my brother. What the hell are you trying to tell me? Tayuya shot back, looking surprised. Jirobo, their leader, attempted to be the voice of reason while Tayuya carried on arguing, saying, guys come on. Let's not fight amongst each other, the enemy is in front of us. Okay fine, the blonde dipshit is strong, very strong. He is masking his true strength but I can tell, he is strong. At first I thought it was overkill to send the three of us but I understand now. Caution will be necessary. As for the redhead brat, nah she's fucking useless. She has a lot of chakra, but it lacks potency and it's totally unrefined. She hasn't had much training. The blonde dipshit may be strong but clearly he has serious insecurities if he chose a weak bitch like her to be his mate. Tayuya grinned. Karen shot back, a vicious smirk plastered on her face, careful Tayuya. San, your jealousy is showing. Tayuya yelled angrily, what did you say, you weak stinking asshole? Naruto chastised the two redheads, saying, hey, that's enough you two. Family shouldn't fight, especially not in front of the enemy. Karen and Tayuya both exclaimed, What the fuck did you just say? Karen was surprised, while Tayuya was shocked and humiliated. I know Karen, it's an AWE fully strange coincidence that I would run into two other Uzumaki on the same day, in the space of just over an hour, after searching for so many years for other Uzumaki ever since I ran into Fuka 4 years ago. Naruto was thinking. Tayuya angrily exclaimed, what the hell are you talking about, you sun-kissed piece of shit? Naruto. Kun's sensory abilities are arguably the best ever seen in the elemental nations, so much so that he can determine a person's nationality or even determine familial relations by the feel of a person's chakra. The Uzumaki clan are known for their large chakra reserves, strong chakra and bodies, and red hair, and you fit all three of these particulars to a letter. And then there is the fact that Naruto has sensed a connection between your chakra, his chakra, and my chakra, which means, without a shadow of doubt, that you are Uzumaki to Yuya, my cousin, Naruto. Kun's cousin. The three of us, along with a comrade of Naruto. Kuns known as Uzumaki Fuka, are the last living members of the great Uzumaki clan of the village hidden in the whirlpool tides. Karen explained as best she could, trying to cram in as much information as possible in the summary of information that she provided. Ha. Ha 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 ha. Ah ha 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 ha. I must hand it to the both you guys are quite the creative duo. I've never heard of a ninja trying to avoid death by claiming to be a family member of their would-be killer. I would be impressed if it wasn't for the sheer incredulity of it all. I mean, the great Uzumaki clan? The village hidden in the whirlpool tides? Please, as if such a thing ever existed. Sakin cracked up. To Yuya, you're awfully quiet, it's how a woman should behave of course, but it's completely unlike you. You don't actually believe this nonsense, do you? Jirobo was concerned. Tayuya trailed off thoughtfully, of course not. It's absolutely ridiculous, but... What is it, Tayuya? Sakin demanded firmly, his amusement long since gone as he became extremely concerned about Tayuya's unusual behavior, more especially, the lack of expletives directed towards Jirobo and her somber and thoughtful demeanor. Usually I can tell lies by evaluating the fluctuations of a person's chakra. It of course gets harder the more trained and the more skilled a person is with their chakra, and also based on a person's natural temperament and aptitude for lying. With that said, it wouldn't have been too surprising if I didn't get an accurate read on the dipshit's chakra. His chakra is well refined and you can tell he has experience in masking his emotions, but the red-eyed bitch, her chakra is easy to read, and she didn't lie, everything she said she believed to be the truth. Tayuya clarified her predicament. Sakin argued vehemently, not believing for a second the bullshit that the blonde brat was trying to sell them. Yes, but you heard what blonde brat said, right? About how he couldn't believe his luck to have ran into two Uzumaki in the space of an hour. You get it right? He only met her just over an hour ago and obviously brainwashed her with that nonsense. Maybe he has a thing for redhead girls and that's how he wins them over. Ask yourself this, if the Uzumaki clan is identifiable by their brilliant red hair, then why does he have blonde hair and not red hair? Sakin fiercely disagreed. Orochimaru must either be a total idiot or a complete sadist for sending you three after me without properly debriefing you. I'm the Yondaime Hokage's only son, that's why I have blonde hair. If it wasn't for his ridiculously strong genes then I too would have red hair just like my mother, just like all the members of my family. Naruto was deadpanned. Saying that the three of them were shocked would be like saying that Naruto enjoys ramen. It would be an enormous understatement. They were all staring at the blonde Uzumaki with open mouths and wide eyes as their brains were trying to figure out what they had just heard. The image of the Yondaime Hokage remained in their minds, and no matter how much their instincts told them to reject that information and throw it away like garbage, they were unable to ignore the striking similarity between him and the blonde boy in front of them. At that point, they were unable to persuade themselves that the blonde Uzumaki was telling the truth, as it was too evident. Sakin broke off in shock, unable to finish a single coherent sentence. I don't believe it. How could we have? How could Orochimaru? Sama. Naruto questioned rhetorically, their silence confirming to him that they really didn't know why they were supposed to eliminate the blonde Uzumaki. Do you guys even know why Orochimaru wants me out of the way? Well, he doesn't seem like the type to tolerate any sort of questioning, and if he didn't tell you I'm guessing that you didn't bother to ask, for your own sakes, right? Naruto sighed heavily, reflecting on what a complete asshole Orochimaru was. I guess I have no choice but to tell you. You see, there is one other thing you do not know about the Uzumaki clan. Well, actually there's a whole lot, but one in particular is relevant to the situation. The Uzumaki clan had a bloodline limit. Like affinity for the sealing arts and barrier arts branch of ninjutsu, we were so good that conventional seal masters were literally equivalent to an Uzumaki novice. Now you can imagine, being the son of the Yondaime Hokage, who was revered for his sealing and barrier arts expertise, and Uzumaki Kushina, the heiress to the great Uzumaki clan, how good I must be in these arts. Orochimaru sought my help to complete those very seals that you have on your necks, and to help him to advance and improve on the Edo Tensei. He met me through Kabuto, who is my friend and mentor. However, he must have decided that I am a potential threat that he absolutely cannot ignore, or he must have decided that I know too much about his plans and sent you three after me. Naruto explained, taking a moment to catch his breath before continuing with his explanation. As far as putting Tayuya-chan in the team, I have no idea what he was thinking. It might be that he doesn't know she is an Uzumaki, or it might be that he did it for his own amusement or out of curiosity to find out what would happen. If he's anything like Kabuto, which is my impression that they are very much similar in personality, then I wouldn't be surprised if it's the latter. However, I am afraid he miscalculated, Naruto said with assurance. Sakin, who had apparently long since forgotten, at least for the time being, about his mission to kill the blonde Jinchuriki, asked inquisitively, How so? I told you, everyone else is a novice compared to an Uzumaki seal master. I have the means to easily remove Orochimaru's control over you that he has obtained via the cursed seal. Tayuya, I can free you of Orochimaru's control, without you losing the power of the cursed seal. It would take me no more than 3 minutes to do it, maybe less. The two of you, I mean, 3 of you, Sakin, Yukon, and Jirobo, I can free you too. Tayuya, I won't force you, but you're welcome to join us in our efforts to rebuild and preserve what remains of the clan, and to join my organization, the Bloodline. Tayuya shocked and said, What? No fucking way. You're the leader of the Bloodline? Yes, but I'm surprised you even know about us. We've gone to great lengths to keep our existence a secret, replied Naruto. I was tasked with the investigation. I took a crew of our best trackers and spies, and all we were able to figure out was that you work in 2-man cells and hunt down Bloodline limit users. We never got a single name or proper description of any of the members. Tayuya went on to explain. I guess it was fate then that we would end up meeting like this. Fate has been trying to unite us for quite a while it seems, and it has finally succeeded. Sakin, Jirobo, what say you? Do you want to be free of Orochimaru's control? You don't have to join me. You can go wherever you want and do whatever you want, or you can join the Bloodline, it's really up to you. Tayuya, I'd prefer we stay together because we're family, but it's up to you as well. I don't want to use fear and oppression to control my comrades like Orochimaru. I prefer that you choose to follow me of your own volition. I'll free you of his control no matter what you decide. Sakin suddenly yelled, No thanks. What? Naruto questioned, his eyebrow raised in perplexity, not understanding why this man would object to being freed from his chains. No thanks. Call him what you will, but Orochimaru Sama has done a lot for us. He trained us, gave us a home, gave us something to live for, and gave us this power of the cursed seal. What can you do for us? What can you do better than him? Sakin chuckled. Naruto deadpanned, I can give you a powerful bloodline limit for starters. What? Jirobi stammered, thinking the same thing as Sakin and Tayuya. I have created the ultimate forbidden jutsu, a jutsu called the Chimera no Jutsu. Put simply, this jutsu enables me to fuse an entire corpse of a bloodline user into another person at a molecular level, allowing the person to obtain not only the bloodline limit of the deceased, but also access to his or her memories, jutsu, experience, and skills. Do you get it now? If I am going to rebuild Whirlpool, I need the village to have powerful people as leaders of the founding clans. That is why I created this jutsu, to ensure that all the clans have powerful Kekkei Genkei users. In other words, the members of the bloodline will be the founding members and cleat heads of New Whirlpool. You could become part of this legacy too. All you have to do is to allow me to help you to cut down your shackles. Naruto continued. Sakin spoke on behalf of his team, saying, That is amazing, honestly, it's incredible, inspirational even. However, the answer is no. We will not betray Orochimaru Sama. He is absurdly stubborn and blindly loyal. But what will he do when he hears this? Naruto trailed off, grinning darkly in his head. Alright, so I'm going to assume that you don't really know how you fit into Orochimaru's plans. In a tone of boredom, Naruto inquired. Sakin said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world, my role is to destroy all of Orochimaru Sama's enemies. You guys really don't have any idea, do you? I thought. Naruto remarked, mockingly sad. Just spill that shit stain, please. What on earth are you discussing? Tayuya bellowed agitatedly. The Elite Sound 5 are just the future ships of Orochimaru. Orochimaru has sealed a portion of his essence inside the cursed seal, which is why it can paralyze and cause you pain. To the horror of the Sound 3, Naruto revealed a lot. But the ability to hurt and paralyze you is not just so he can control you. It's also so you won't be able to fight back when he is ready to take over your body. This is why he sealed his essence into the seal. It will gradually change your body to make it more compatible with him, making it easier for him to take over and suppress you. N. Not conceivable. Who am I fucking kidding? Of course that creepy bastard would. He wouldn't. He thinking aloud. Tayuya experienced a rapid range of emotions, including shock and disbelief, acceptance, frustration, and, most of all, anger. Angry at herself for fooling herself into believing that she would be treated any differently from everyone else, and angry at Orochimaru for using her in that manner. Watch your mouth, Ta. Yukon, screw you. Saken is here. It doesn't matter. Fuck you, Sound 4, and that creepy bastard Orochimaru in particular. I'm not going to let that slimy creep butt me and swallow me. Hey, are you really going to take that? That slimy creep out of me? You truly are my cousin, and you can give me a bloodline limit? Tayuya inquired one after the other. Yes, I agree with all of your inquiries. All you have to do is to take, Naruto said, trailing off as Tayuya moved so quickly that Karen was left speechless, barely able to move a finger before Tayuya grabbed her and leapt onto a branch of the large tree that stood a few meters behind her. As insurance while you battle those two slabs of dick cheese, I'll take the red. I'd bitch with me. It will be easier for me to accept that you are who you say you are if you can beat them. Don't you think the head of a group as strong as the bloodline ought to be able to hold his own in a fight? Tayuya questioned mockingly. She's smart. If I win, she'll feel more confident that I am who I say I am and that she made the right choice. She also knows that, thanks to her chakra sensing ability, I'm strong enough that, even if I lose, I might have killed one of them or taken so much out of them that she can easily just finish off the other and return to Orochimaru with Karen as her prize. Someone talented enough to more than replace these two if trained properly. In other words, she's playing it safe by playing both sides and siding with the victor. Well, actually, she's choosing me, but in a way that if her decision is incorrect, she can still hide it and go back to. Che. You witch, I always knew you were untrustworthy. When we're done with this brat, you better believe that we'll be coming after you next, Jirobo yelled angrily. I'll just kick your fat ass like I always do, you stupid asshole. Tayuya responded. Jirobo, leave her alone. Later, we'll handle her. Saken gave an authoritative order, saying, the mission comes first. With an icy smirk on her face, Karen thought to herself, they must not know that Naruto Kun is a Jinchuriki, much less a perfect one, otherwise there is no way they would be so confident. I really can't tell whether Orochimaru is an idiot or a sadist for sending them in so unprepared. She completely forgot that she was being held captive at the moment. I'm going to give you one more chance too. Enough already. Saken interrupted the blonde Uzumaki before he could complete his offer with an exclamation. We are here to destroy you, and that is precisely what we will do. Saken roared in response. Jirobo continued, yeah, sorry, but your time has run out, treehugger. Naruto formed two spiraling spheres of bright blue chakra on each of his hands and said, alright then, I guess I'll be adding your corpses to my collection. No way. Saken stammered, his eyes going wide with shock as he looked in shock at the blonde Jinchuriki's magical move. That jutsu, what the hell is it? Jirobo questioned cautiously, it looks dangerous. I am aware of that jutsu. I heard about it from Orochimaru Sama once. It's the Rasengan, the original jutsu of the fourth Hokage. Saken cautioned his partner, be careful Jirobo, one hit with that thing and we're done for. Jirobo said, his tone a little disinterested, okay. Listen, let us disperse. The Rasengan is a kind of close quarters combat jutsu. Using the Rasengan in conjunction with his lightning fast speed and instantaneous teleportation, the fourth Hokage was able to strike several targets nearly at once. The child is probably fast as well, but since he hasn't appeared on the battlefield and used any pronged kunai, I assume he hasn't studied or mastered the Yondaime's Hiraishin no Jutsu. Though caution will need to be exercised, he is still likely to move quickly like his father did. Saken trailed off as he moved to his right and Jirobi to his left, keeping a safe distance between them to prevent Naruto from attacking them both at once as he appeared to want to, considering that he had developed Rasengan on each of his hands. Jirobo, start the first level. Black seal markings started to spread from his shoulder and all over his body. Jirobo experienced the same thing shortly after, with their chakra sharply increasing in quantity and potency and growing denser, stronger, thicker, and much more menacing. Wheel needed to counter against his alleged speed, Saken commanded. Flying Rasengan. Naruto uttered the phrase in a low voice as he extended both of his hands and directed his palms, more precisely, the spiraling spheres in his arms, at his opponents. Saken was the target of the left palm, Jirobo of the right, and the Rasengans shot off toward their targets as soon as he said the technique's name, traveling at nearly unintelligible speeds. It felt like they must have been airborne for miles before Saken and Jirobo finally hit the surface, crashing so hard that large craters and trenches were formed by their impact on the earth. Firstly, the spheres were way too fast, and secondly, the attack was completely unexpected as they had no idea that the Rasengan could be used at mid-long range like that. When the spheres hit them dead center on their torsos, they were sent flying away rapidly, their bodies colliding with numerous trees and breaking right through them as said trees were sent crashing into the ground. Phew, what a fucking dipshit. I thought that was supposed to be a close quarters fighting technique. Saken is known for studying the greats of the past, so he wouldn't have said that unless he had studied that jutsu in great detail. Tayuya exclaimed, her shock and disbelief still evident in her tone as she tried to process what she had just witnessed. Of course, I improved upon my father's jutsu. It is the responsibility of the younger generation to rise above the establishment, avert recession and stagnation, and foster advancement. All there is to the flying Rasengan technique, Naruto clarified, even though those were regular Rasengan that I used, propelled forward with a supercharged wind blast. I see. You can use the Rasengan without endangering your own life, unlike the Yondaime, which is still very impressive. Still, if I were you, I wouldn't be celebrating so quickly, Tayuya remarked, peering behind the blonde Uzumaki at her three former teammates as they returned to the clearing. You prick. Well, to put it another way, a total monster-looking person, walking alongside another monster-looking person who happened to look almost exactly like the monster that just spoke. Can you imagine what it is like when you expect to take a long-ass nap and a little brat decides he's going to try and kill your twin brother to whom you refused and within you were sleeping, taking away a good chunk of your sleeping time and not to mention, almost causing your nap time to become permanent. You must be Yukon then. It's nice of you to finally join us, but more importantly, I'm impressed by your collective regeneration abilities. That Rasengan should have completely obliterated your insides, and yet here you all are, completely recovered. I never imagined activating Curse Seal Level 2 would have such an amazing effect. Naruto stated with genuine curiosity. Jirobo yelled angrily, you fat little prick, you almost killed us. I'll kill you. Raising an eyebrow, Naruto said, I'm the fat one? Enough. Saken yelled, filled with rage and frustration, as he suddenly closed the distance between him and Naruto, trying to land a strong back kick in his abdomen, or at least attempting to, since Naruto's reflexes allowed him to quickly raise his guard just in time. The kick, however, was so strong that it totally destroyed Naruto's defenses, piercing his guard and striking him in the abdomen. This sent the blonde hurtling through a sturdy tree and onto the ground, leaving a sizable crater where he landed. The blonde Uzumaki coughed up a lot of blood from his mouth as the horned monster looking twin completely crushed his internal organs. Despite the obvious pain, he was quick to stand again, knowing that death would come quickly and brutally if he dawdled for even a moment. That happened far too quickly. As he scrambled to stand again, Naruto thought, he's definitely faster than me, faster than Kakashi and Zabuza even, and definitely physically stronger than Kakashi. If Naruto had to be honest with himself, he would admit that his strength and speed were about the same as a standard Jonin, maybe slightly higher, without using any special chakra enhancement techniques or drawing energy from the Kyuubi. That wasn't meant as a slight against him. Becoming a Jonin is a very challenging feat that calls for countless hours of training in addition to natural talent. Even among the greatest of prodigies and genius-level ninja, it is extremely rare for someone to reach that level at the age of 12. It is truly considered a great achievement for someone to reach that level. Less than a quarter of the entire shinobi force can even reach that level. It goes without saying that attaining this level at any age instantly transforms you into a formidable ninja who is extremely hard to kill. Even in this tier, though, there exist those exceptional ninja who are regarded as superior to the rest. These ninja may not be on the same level as a Kage, but they are unquestionably above the average Jonin level, falling somewhere in between. These ninja are referred to as elite Jonin, or simply elite level Jonin. This tier includes people like Momochi Zabuza, Yuki Haku, and Kakashi. It was true that Naruto killed Zabuza and Haku, but it was also true that he fought them only by summoning them rather than going up against them directly. The fact was, and Naruto knew this very well, that he had never beaten a Jonin level elite ninja without using the Kyuubi's chakra or calling upon his summons. He had mainly relied on the Kyuubi's chakra to defeat Gatsu all those years ago, and he had also used his summons to defeat Haku and Zabuza. Yes, he beat Kakashi without using any of those outside advantages, but that particular battle had very special conditions. First of all, since it was only a training evaluation exercise, Kakashi had no intention of killing. Second, Kakashi was overflowing with misinformation about him that represented Naruto's threat level in the exact opposite way. Lastly, Naruto was able to easily take advantage of Kakashi's vulnerabilities because he had close knowledge of the latter. To put it plainly, Kakashi was unable to overcome the surprise element at the moment because the odds were stacked so heavily in favor of Naruto. Nevertheless, the fact that Naruto's opponents were faster and stronger than the elite ninja he had previously faced spoke volumes about them, and it was understandable why they were selected to serve as Orochimaru's personal bodyguards and elite guard. The fact of the matter is that Saken was much faster than Naruto was, so if it weren't for his high-level sensing ability, he would not have been able to react at all to his attack. The only reason Naruto was able to react at all was because of his extremely powerful chakra sensing ability, which grants him a kind of precognition ability to sense movements through the movement of a person's chakra. This was significant because Naruto possessed skill, speed, and physical strength beyond the reach of a Jonin. Even so, the blonde Uzumaki had no intention of using the fox's chakra, even though he was at a disadvantage, as he was currently working hard to find a way to possibly, but hopefully, permanently, separate himself from the fox in the future. This was because the fox was interfering with the Chimera no Jutsu, which he would not be able to use on himself until he did exactly that. He was not going to even entertain the idea of using the fox to defeat his opponents because he intended to get rid of it in the future and realized that he needed to start getting used to winning his battles only by his own strength and not depending on the fox's power. Though there was a hint of surprise in his tone, Yukon said casually, "The fox mud is still alive? You must be losing your touch, brother." Saken defended himself by saying, "I'm sure that I crushed his insides." He must have some kind of high-speed regeneration ability. Then let us crush his entire body into a pulp and see if he can regenerate from that. Jirobo growled. "Okay, you stay where you are, Jirobo, and wait for a clear opening, and then you crush him into a pulp. Saken and I will create the opening, if we do not crush him ourselves, that is." Yukon gave an authoritative order. Excitedly, Jirobo said, "Got it. They're going to launch an assault together this time. I barely escaped Saken's attack, and if I don't take action, I will definitely die in my current state." As the twins charged toward him at breakneck speed, Naruto thought, "I guess it's time to test out that technique then." He was focusing his mind, body, and chakra in preparation for the hardest battle of his life. This time, however, Naruto was able to completely avoid their attacks by moving soundlessly, without making a sound at all, and at an incredible speed as he dodged Saken and Yukon's attacks, running naturally, after realizing after only 5 counterattacks that his punches and kicks only caused minor damage to these guys, not enough to stop them from pressing their attack. He attempted to counterattack and form an instant Rasengan once, but they were clearly very cautious of him after the previous incident because they moved away from him as soon as he even slightly collected chakra on his palm. Shit. Naruto thought as Jirobo charged him from his blind spot, moving at a speed that was completely unexpected for a man of his size. The big Bone Teen punched the blonde Uzumaki in the stomach, hitting nothing but air as the blonde quickly fled the scene, almost as if he had vanished from Hirobo's line of sight, or had he really? Jirobo was unaware of this because the force of his attack caused him to strike the ground with such force that it completely changed the terrain, producing earthquake like effects as the earth rippled, concaved, and broke into large slabs of debris. As a result, trees surrounding the clearing fell and struck the ground hard, leaving Karen and Naruto's faces looking priceless as they watched in shock at the big Bone Teen's deft work. That is crazy. Even with his ability to regenerate, Naruto-kun would have undoubtedly perished if he had been struck by that. Karen thought in terror. If I had been struck by that attack, it would have been disastrous. Naruto thought warily, I can't believe he is so much stronger than the twins, and those guys are ridiculously strong themselves. Oh, what's going on here? Last time I checked, this guy could barely follow my movements, and now he is making us miss like a bunch of amateurs. It's like he is completely different from just a few minutes ago. Saken was upset. Simply said, Naruto stated, Shunpo no Jutsu. Saken said angrily, am I supposed to know what the hell that is? It's a jutsu I created, it's a wind style technique. It's a wind style that surrounds my body, eliminating wind pressure and wind resistance, whilst also boosting up my Shunshin technique. The result is faster bodily movements, significantly increased foot speed, and of course a much faster Shunshin technique. With this jutsu, combined with my incredible sensing abilities, I am able to quite comfortably anticipate and evade your attacks. Casually stated. Hey. I have to give you props for creativity and ninjutsu talent for creating such an awesome technique, and to top it off you even mastered the Yondaimi's Rasengan and took it to a new level entirely by using it as a long-range destructive bullet. However, we won't allow ourselves to be hit by your flying Rasengan again, and your physical attacks barely affect us in this version 2 cursed seal state. Running away isn't going to win you this battle, and if you cannot defeat us then Tayuya will just take that red-eyed bitch back to Orochimaru Sama, since you couldn't convince her that you were worth defecting for. You are going to lose everything. Saken was beaming with pride in your eyes. I can see right through your act, Saken. You're trying to bait me into attacking you desperately and therefore recklessly, because you know that it won't be easy to catch me due to my extraordinary speed, super reflexes and sensing abilities. You're worried that this is essentially a stalemate, and that is because there is a time limit to how long you can stay in Curse Seal level 2 mode, isn't it? Quips Naruto. With an angry trail, Saken exclaimed, why you little? Well, of course I have no intention of dragging this out myself, nor do I have any intention of allowing you to escape with your lives. Naruto began to walk away. What? Ahahahaha. You actually think that you stand a chance against us? Mark my words, Yondaimi's brat, we'll finish you off in the next 6 moves. Yukon responded with arrogance this time. You assume that you have seen everything I can do, but you couldn't even begin to grasp the true power of my Rasengan fighting style. However, I do acknowledge your strength. You guys are at the top of the elite class of ninja already. You would probably be able to take out even a cage-level ninja as a team, and in just a few years you would have probably been able to each individual possess a power comparable to that of a cage. However, this is the end of the road for you. Out of respect for your skill, and in acknowledgement of your power, allow me to show you my ultimate technique. As he surged with chakra instantly covered in powerful, readily apparent chakra shroud. Jirobo sputtered nervously, W. What the hell is that thing surrounding his body? He had never felt a chakra this strong or even seen anything that even vaguely resembled the type of chakra that surrounded the blonde Uzumaki. The potency and frequency of that chakra is ridiculous, and the rapid spin in multiple directions, it's like his Rasengan jutsu, but channeled around his entire body instead of just on his palm. Yukon sighed. Congratulations Yukon, that was a fabulous analysis. This indeed is a full-body Rasengan. This is my Rasen Chakra no Yoroi, it is both my ultimate defensive technique and my ultimate offensive technique. It is essentially what you call a nintaijutsu technique. Saken asked incredulously, spiraling chakra armor? Nintaijutsu? Ultimate defense and offense? Yes. Essentially, trying to punch me now would be the same as attempting to punch through a Rasengan. In other words, my defense is impenetrable. Of course it goes without saying that when I punch or kick you it will also be the same as being hit with a direct Rasengan. Not only that, but this jutsu isn't just a shroud that surrounds my body, there is an internal chain reaction occurring as well. The rapid functions and movements of my chakra shroud occur internally as well, the result being an exponential increase in my chakra frequency in circulation, causing a massive increase in speed, senses, reflexes, and physical strength. The three of you, in other words, have absolutely no hope, but don't bother to surrender, I have no intention of taking prisoners. Apathetically. As he and his brother remerged and expanded into what Naruto could only describe as a two-headed monster, augmenting their already monstrous looking forms, Yukon exclaimed, HN. You underestimate us, Kiroi Senko no Gaki. Merging with my stupid brother is just a ploy to divert his attention and buy us some time. With his entire body changing into a humanoid Rasengan, our match fighting technique isn't going to work on this guy. There isn't a single jutsu in our arsenal that can counter that Rasengan jutsu, not even Hirobo's super strength. It was that strong. I've never felt the need to flee from an enemy before. That was when we faced Kimimaro. I never imagined that I would come across someone who would instill such intense fear in me once more. Yukon thought, echoing his bothers and Hirobo's thoughts, Uzumaki Naruto, you really are the Kiroi Senko's son. As soon as Yukon said, "You're not the only one with an ultimate defensive move. Let's show him, Saken." Jirobo and Saken's eyes lit up in recognition. Naturally, they were both aware of the jutsu that Yukon was referring to, which was Rashomon Gate, the summoning technique that Orochimaru had personally taught the twins. But since this jutsu clearly had no offensive value, especially in a taijutsu battle, it became evident that the gate was nothing more than a wall designed to protect them during their flight and prevent the blonde Uzumaki from pursuing them. In other words, Yukon had simply quietly demanded a total retreat. "Okay, let's do it, broth." Saken trailed off in shock and pain, he and his brother unable to even start their hand seal sequence as the blonde Uzumaki suddenly moved across the distance between them and delivered a devastating punch that left a wide hole in the middle of the conjoined twins' stomachs, wide enough for Tayuya and Karen, who were safely positioned high on a tree, to see through to the other side. Saken sputtered, Impossible." As his conjoined form slowly collapsed backwards, their bodies splintering before they hit the ground as their jutsu was undone. Yukon had already died when the attack landed, lying motionless on the ground with his torso blown to smithereens. With his fist cocked back, ready to finish off the other twin, Naruto remarked, "It seems your brother protected you by arranging your cell structure so that he can take the majority of the damage. A noble but futile gesture." The younger twin exclaimed, Wait. Why? You bastard." As Naruto struck him squarely in the chest, unleashing a devastating blow that destroyed the earth even more than Hirobo's punch had before. Indeed, it was tenfold more powerful because there was no comparison between their strikes. Karen and Tayuya were consequently forced to flee the battle even farther as the tree they were standing on and the surrounding trees were flung into the ground. Naruto turned to face the final member of the sound trio and uttered, "2 down, 1 more to go." Naruto spoke ominously, "Don't think I forgot you, Jirobo." Hirobo's legs were clearly trembling, and he was experiencing a fear that he had never experienced before, the kind of fear that only came from upsetting Orochimaru or Kimimaro. Naruto said in a tone bereft of emotion, "Do not be afraid, I'm not the type that likes to play with my prey, not when I get serious like this. It will be over in an instant."
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.